Young fan, play the beat.
I'ma go colonize Mars. Spit these fire bars, change the way you're driving cars. If you hate me, you're racist. I'm African American. They're hiring people based on race and heritage. They're grooming kids, teaching them about trans, gay sex. I'm grooming my children to take over SpaceX. I have X running better after slashing paycheck. I'm a billionaire, but at a time I couldn't pay rent. I do it for the memes. Politicians have schemes. There's not a left or right, they're all on the same team. They say that I'm a Zionist and anti-Semitic. Which one is it? Make up your mind, they're all pathetic. I'm hated by the right, I'm hated by the left. Guess that means I'm doing something right, how quickly they forget. Call me radical Republican, but my life is EV. Bob Iger is the clown, so is Stephen King. Lord Cuban is a dork, Zuckerberg too. The government is spending all our money, we should sue. I paid $44 billion to acquire X. Hunter Biden paid $44 billion for sex.
I just planted 1 billion trees. I just cured a whole damn disease. I just sold 1 billion chocolate bars overseas. I just gave 10,000 people sight who couldn't even see. I bought a private island just so I could take a pee. I bought a hotel just so I could go to sleep. I just bought a private jet, got the pilot out of debt. If you're hating on me, well, that's just a normal side effect. I just tipped my waitress and I gave her ass a car.
Well, I just ended the Russia and Ukraine war.
Oh, hey Trump, it's really nice meeting you. Do you want to invest in festivals?
Thank you, Jimmy, for that offer. It's really nice. Maybe we can save America from dying twice. I mean, when you fill your gas up, look at the price. The government is spending too much and it isn't right. We need a Department of Government Efficiency. They tried to sue me, shoot me, even imprison me. Thank God they can't aim and keep on missing me. P. Diddy supported Kamala, even Hillary. Myself, Elon, Mr. Beast are gonna save the planet. But we'll drill, baby, drill. The left wants to ban it. I believe in climate change. I think it's really real. I just don't believe the fear that they're trying to sell. November 2024, you know who to vote for. Used to be loved by celebs, Oprah, Whoopi Goldberg. Then I ran, everyone turned their back. But like that traitor Arnold, I'll be back.
All right, here we go, guys. Hope you're having a good Monday. Got a lot to talk about. Tom Lee, again, they revised their targets actually higher for the year in the last update they had. This last one, they were talking about Steve Cohen and a bunch of reasons why we were so negative on Friday. And I'm sorry I wasn't around for it. I mean, I kind of am not, honestly. It's really depressing when everybody's in a bad mood. So that kind of worked out. But again, Tom Lee is actually pretty optimistic. Who knew? He believes that Wednesday for NVIDIA is going to be very important with earnings. And I would agree with that too. And I think just hearing about the 200,000 GPU cluster with Tesla alone should keep people pretty optimistic, but who knows? People don't like being optimistic when the prices turn red, but I am. I guess I kind of can be though, because I've got TLT and I did all right on Friday with it. Today it's down a little bit, down 0.49%, but being up roughly 5% on Friday and then being able to buy dips that were down, 10, 15, 20%, depending upon what you're talking about, was kind of nice. It makes the pain a lot more bearable. I can at least say that. But anyway, so Steve Cohen was talking about austerity measures because of Doge and tariffs and how these will contract the economy. I can't totally disagree with that. The interesting thing with it, though, is that the CME Fed Watch tool for May has got the Fed at 25.2% chance of cutting rates again, which is fascinating because it was 10% before. So Tom Lee is saying, hey, this is probably pretty good for markets if they expect if they get another rate cut when they weren't expecting it before. We're going to be looking at other posts where we talk about that. I actually think markets look terrible, calls underwater. Yeah, that's probably the case. But I do believe, though, on this channel, what we try and focus on is what's coming in the future. So that's probably the best place to look, not just where we're at. It's very easy to look at where we're at. It's harder to address where we're going to be headed to. So there's a decent chance in May that we see rate cuts. There's also other stuff happening around April and May that's very, 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 very important, and nobody's talking about it. So we're going to go over that too. But yeah, so Tom Lee also had another little stat that was kind of cool. I might actually just visibly show it to you real quick here. Let me see. I'm just going to... Again, I don't like to show too much of his stuff. Maybe I won't show you this part. Maybe I'll save the other part. Yeah, you know what? I will show it to you. So, don't tell Tom. I'm just kidding. He doesn't seem to mind. As long as I'm pitching his stuff. So, one thing that they talked about too was 11 times since 1987 have investors been bearish within 1% of 52-week highs. And during that time, you had an almost 16%. This is since 2008, it was 16%. All instances, it was a little bit less. It was about 11.3%, 15.7 for the median since 2008. And I believe that since 2008 is pretty important because, again, we live in a world of money printing. But the win ratio is 83%. So what he's saying here is that there's a very high probability that we're going to end up bouncing and going higher. And I do kind of agree with that. What's going on with Palantir pre-market? Yeah, Palantir doesn't look super... I mean, Palantir, real quick, I'll just show it to you. So Palantir has a lot of gaps. I don't think it actually needs to go this far. And I loved... Are there people talking about the Technological Republic, Alex Karp's new book? Because it's fucking beautiful. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. Talking about the death of nationalism and religion across Western society and how we're focused... Really, it's more about nationalism, but how we're not allowed to have an approach as a nation anymore. We've got this whole diversity is our strength thing that they're trying to push across Europe and they were trying to do here in the States, and how that's damaging to society to not have some national shared goals. There's a lot more than that in the book, but I thought it was really brilliant. And I don't feel like enough people are talking about it, but I mean, there's this massive fucking gap, right? It's closed a little bit. But I don't know if this one fills. Maybe it still does. It could. We got a lot of gaps. This one I don't think we ever see. This one I don't think we ever see. Really doubt we ever see this one. I do think this one is possible. And if things get really wild, maybe we could get down here. But yeah, so there's a decent chance that happens, right? That we fill this gap because there's literally no volume. There's no volume until like $85. So if you were looking for a chance to get some Palantir. Oh, we got buys, 20,356 Bitcoin. Of course. So how many days of supply is that? Almost 50. Okay, cool. So one company, again, bought almost 50 days of the supply. Let me just grab that real quick. I just got to grab that super fast and put it out there for the channel. Being crushed on MSTX, yeah. I could see that, especially if you held... I sold before it dropped real hard, so I was able to benefit from that. I'm still down about 24%, though. Last I checked, it might be a little bit better today after rebuying in at a lower price. So I got hit a little bit, too. Has not been great. I mean, these are multipliers, right? They're multipliers to the upside, and they're multipliers to the down, and there's tracking errors, and when the multiplier multiplies day after day after day in a flat market or a down market, you're going to get absolutely obliterated. That's kind of the name of the game, and it's important to understand the tools that you're using. Otherwise, you can suffer greatly. All right, so where are we at here? Where's this post? Yeah, hold it. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to probably add to it. I'm doing it slowly, though. I'm going to be very cautious in my approach. 28 minutes. Strategy has completed a $2 billion offering, 35% premium. Okay, so there's that. Where's the actual Bitcoin allocation? Is it in the post? I'll just put this out here for now. I'm not too worried about it. Let me just get my bookmark here. MSTR. Posted, not under Sailor. So, God dang it. Why you guys got to make it so hard? What is he thinking? All right. I do like the rebranding. I do like it. Where is it? I don't know. I don't even care. Whatever. Going back. So anyway, back to my point. So I do think that there's a good chance that we have a solid win rate. I don't exactly remember where my thought was. Again, we had the January, a positive January month, and historically everything looks good. But there's something else I want to talk about. But before we get to it, I want to talk about this real quick. And today we're going to be going through not just a bunch of Trump stuff. I don't want to be just focused on politics all the time. We'll cover that near the end. We'll cover geopolitics dead last because some people don't want to hear it. It's all good. Tesla down 1.62% today. I'm actually only going to be buying. We're really going to focus on Tesla today. But I want to get over a couple of things real quick. Trump, popularity. I've heard these things about like, oh, hey, Trump's popularity has plummeted, blah, blah, blah. It's the worst it's ever been. Bullshit. If you want to listen to the pollsters that told you Kamala Harris was going to win the election, you can do that. That's up to you, okay? Do that. Watch those guys. They're just historically wrong and super biased. But if you think that they're all of a sudden right now, cool, enjoy it. The SEC dropped an investigation into Robinhood crypto business. They're dropping all the investigations. Cool. But that's not the truth. Trump is still over 50% approval. Doge is even more popular than Trump. And every other component of Trump's platform is even more popular, 48% on the right track. So James, what is his name? Carville, this Democrat who literally was imploding and talking about how his party was just bullshit and how they sucked, is now saying that the Trump presidency is going to collapse in the next 30 days. I think that's just wishful thinking. I feel bad for the guy. I mean, I don't really, but whatever. He's just not going to get what he wants. So I just want to be clear on that. So if you hear people that are talking all this negativity because they're painting swastikas on Cybertrucks, just realize that there is a lot of noise out there and focus on the signal. Also, speaking of signal, there's something really important happening. The process has already started. There's something called reconciliation. It's when you kind of figure out your budget for the year. And during this process, you only have to have 51% in order to be able to get it across the finish line. Whereas you have to have like this 60% agreement after that. This is very, 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 very important. Very, very important. And the reason this is so important is because Speaker Mike Johnson, and I don't have the full one. I wish I had the full one. I want you guys to hear that.
The president is over 300 executive actions already, and we're going to codify so much of what he's doing so that the next team can't unwind it.
So that's important. So in case you don't know this, executive orders can be unwound immediately by the next administration through an executive order, right? They don't hold, it's like they're only as good as the paper they're written on. But through congressional approval, you can actually get it to where you solidify it and make it to where it's an act of Congress to get rid of it. Now, again, in the next presidency, which I think is going to be a Republican one, pretty easy. But let's say that the Democrats did get a hold of it. Could they do something where in the reconciliation process, their initial part, that if they have control of the House and the Senate and a 51% approval of the bills they're trying to push, could they remove it? Sure, but that's not easily done. It's not often you have control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency. But there's really important things that they're trying to do that I need to make sure that you understand because they're going to be very, 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 very important in regard to what happens to markets. Because right now, all we're hearing are tariffs, reduction in cost, firing people, sadness, people being, immigration with an E, exported out of the country, whether they're criminals or not. It's going to hurt the economy. All we're hearing is like all the negative stuff from what you have to do when you really want to make your country sustainable and make it to where you don't have fiscal and financial collapse. Because essentially right now, guys, we're like a person with their credit cards and we're like, oh, I can't really pay all the credit cards, so I'm just going to do the minimum payment and my balance is going up and things aren't looking good. That's the United States right now. That's actually the entirety of the world, really, if we're being honest. I mean, 90% of it. So that's not good. It's not healthy, and we don't want to be there. So we have to actually do things to make it to where we can counter this. And we're going to be talking a lot. This is the theme for today, okay? So on top of codifying these 300 executive orders in this massive, they call it an omnibus bill. It's when it's a book, right? Like not a book, a Bible. Big Bible, like 5 Bibles. That's what we're going to be seeing here. And they're working on this process right now. They already are. They're gonna maybe pass it through the House. I doubt it's gonna be this month. It'll probably be in early March, and then it has to go through the Senate, and then it's gonna get jockeyed back and forth a whole bunch, right? Oh, I don't know. I'm not worried about any committee hearing. I'm not worried. I mean, everybody. Also, too, like confirmations, everybody's getting through. I mean, everything's getting done. Everything's getting done that Trump wants to do. And if he can get through Kash Patel, he could do anything. Let me just be clear on that. But anyway, so on top of these 300 executive orders, there's good stuff happening. This is the good stuff that's coming, guys. This is April, May, right? This is April, May, most likely, where we see incredibly positive narratives coming up. So again, things might be scary over the short term because all we're getting is negativity, right? All we're getting is tariffs. All we're getting is all this. It's all negative narratives. But the market is forward looking. They're going to start looking towards the fact that the fact that the Treasury General account is going to start bleeding down because we haven't gotten to the point where we've extended the debt ceiling. And eventually that will end up running out. But as it's running down, that's a liquidity building event that should help markets. So they're going to start focusing on that more here in the weeks ahead. And then after that, they're going to start focusing on this. And why is this so important? Let me just read it off here. So this massive omnibus bill, I said in that bill, they're going to fit the 300 executive orders as well as no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security. We'll also see initiatives to lower energy prices significantly. This is what some of the stuff that they've already done with executive order, but I think they're going to do even more too in order to be able to drive down energy prices. Some of this will be negotiations probably with Russia and their energy. Again, Putin said something about being willing to give minerals access to the United States. I think Zelensky, even though he's been talking real tough over the weekend, been saying that he doesn't owe us shit. And that he's not going to give us any money, and that they want all of the $350 billion that were frozen in Russian assets, and that they'll pay back Russia because that was Europe because that was their agreement with Europe, but they won't pay us back because we just gave them grants. Again, some of that is true and on the last administration, but that's not what's going to fucking happen. Pomp on CNBC mentioned a Mar-a-Lago Accord. Yeah, isn't that funny? Isn't it funny that the things that we talk about weeks in advance end up all of a sudden becoming news? But yeah, so we're going to start seeing all these positives, right? We're going to see things that people are like, whoa, you mean I can work more overtime and I'm not going to get taxed at all? I'm not getting taxed on my tips anymore. My parents' Social Security went up by a couple $100 a month because they get no taxes on it. And then energy prices start plummeting because we're doing agreements with Russia and Venezuela and people that have been seen as enemies and are not necessarily the good guys in any fucking way. But sometimes your people that are enemies become your friends because there's a greater enemy, right? And so that's what we're pushing towards. In case you guys don't know this, the current administration is worried about China because China makes it very clear that they want to overtake the world and Western power, and they want to rule the entire South China Sea. And there's a lot of countries in there like South Korea, Japan, the Philippines, and a bunch more that don't want to be ruled. So we're focusing elsewhere, but imagine the positive narratives that come out of this. The corporate tax is getting extended, the reduction on that. Incentives to invest in America, massive deregulation that allows us to be able to tap all these natural resources. Trump's goal in the first year is reducing energy prices by 50%. Imagine the narrative and how much it changes if all of a sudden we're seeing all this productivity, we're seeing people working a bunch, we're seeing them get excited because they get to keep all their money. And not even just this stuff, but what happens too if all of a sudden we get, what should I do? Jesse, just select all messages and chat filter, please. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that. But if I get annoyed by them, I will make it go away. There we go. Not even just that though, right? That's not even all of it. There's a lot more than that. And let me just zoom out real quick here. I might even have it over here. Let me see if I do. Nope, not that. Don't want to get there yet. Let me see. U.S. economy. Ooh. I don't even know if I'll find this slide right away. I'll probably just get to it when I get to it. I'm trying to remember even what I was talking, but again, I think there's really positive things coming, And I think that should be the focus. I think this omnibus. Oh, and the $420 savings thing too. I did that fairly recently. Here, let me find it. I'll just do it under highlights. I don't know if I highlighted it. Probably did. Let me see here real quick. Yeah, anyway, the whole point. So there's this guy, and let me see. He's got to be in here. I think I had him right at the top. I hate these fucking bookmarks. Let me just resort. So there's a guy that came up with the idea for the $5,000 going back to people. And this guy, let me see if I can find him. He came to this idea in his sleep. And he actually got interviewed recently. I'm trying to see if I can find it. It's always so hard to find the one thing you're looking at, especially with these bookmarks. But this guy came to this idea in his sleep. Let me see, micro to macro. Let me try this 420. This is weird, but whatever. It might get me what I want. Oh, wow, the Wayback Machine. Not really relevant information here. All right, whatever. We'll try and find it later. Vox from Spain has CPAC. It was on CPAC. Yeah. Spain is interesting, too. I think there's a lot of good things happening there. Anyway, I'll try and find this. But essentially, what he was talking about is, hey, we should do this $5,000. And he was explaining the reasoning why we should do the $5,000. And in case you haven't gotten clarification, I actually think it kind of makes sense. It would be taking 20% of the savings, leaving 80% to, again, be able to offset programs that are going to be used like again, the no tax on tips, the no tax on overtime, the no tax on Social Security, because you're going to have to offset some of that, right? That's something where you're going to have reduced tax revenues. So if you save, a bunch of money, and I think it's roughly, the calculation is roughly like $1.3 trillion. If you can save $1.3 trillion over the next year into 2026, then you can give a 20% back payment to the people. And I was saying, hey, we should do a $420 payment. Actually, I was saying 400, and then somebody's like, it should be 420, and then somebody's like, it should be 420.69 monthly, in order to be able to help the American people and offset some of the initial slowdown we're going to see. Because people like Steve Cohen, who said that we're going to see a slowdown, are right. We are going to see probably a slowdown when you get rid of, 1 million immigrants maybe in the first year. Especially criminals, you'll see a little bit of a slowdown. You saw it in El Salvador when they did it, when Bukele locked up 77,000 gang members. There's a little bit of a slowdown, and there's some things that happen. But again, Argentina is a great thing to look at too, because you did see that for the first months and quarters. You saw a slowdown. But if we end up giving, what is going to be 20% of savings, the $420.69 per month, then people all of a sudden are like, whoa. I'm not getting taxed on my overtime anymore. I'm getting an extra check for $420.69. For my own parents, this would be almost $700 a month. That is a lot of money for people that are on Social Security. But for other people, again, overtime pay, if you're working 10 hours a week, your overtime's $40 or maybe more an hour and doing construction, you're looking at $1,600 a month that you get to keep. And then you get another $420, an extra $2,000 a month for a construction worker. These people are going to be happy, man. They're going to spend money. So I'm actually starting to think that it's important that we have a program like this to be able to help people have some money in the meantime while our economy slows, because it will. And we're going to talk. I did a write-up over this weekend about Scott Besson in an interview that he had that was 30 minutes roughly long on Bloomberg. It was a great interview. I won't go through the whole thing on here. And then Blockworks did kind of their summary on it too. I actually think I did a better job than they did, but I love those guys. But I probably shouldn't have Bloomberg blocked if I'm going to. I think I blocked it because Farzad blocked it for something. I can't remember what it was, some kind of Tesla post. Anyway, you know me, I'm in a blocking mode most of the time. But I do want to talk about this. This is super important. So these insights are really, really good. It's still paid for by taxpayer. Yeah, no shit, Nathan. But there's a point here, right? So I get that everybody doesn't understand economics and that it's a tough concept to understand. But if you've taken your deficit and reduced it substantially, let's say by 50 to 60%, and then you encourage growth and you do it in the right way, like no taxes on overtime where you're increasing productivity, no taxes on Social Security for older people that have just been crushed by the inflation that was experienced, and no taxes on tips. So again, that people have more money and purchasing power, then you can increase GDP along with pro-growth policies and a low corporate tax environment. You can increase GDP, which then increases your tax base. So I get that people paid for it, but you're also giving it back to them, right? And I don't know what your comment was specifically. I haven't been keeping up with chat. But you want this, right? You want a combination of paying off or paying down your bills significantly and making it to where you're not running a huge deficit. And at the same time, your pro-growth policies offset the deficit, and then you get a balanced budget, and preferably a surplus like Argentina has done, like El Salvador has done. And we're next on the list. And that's the plan. And Elon Musk actually said that by 2026, we should have a balanced budget for the first time since Bill Clinton, Al Gore, and the Republicans did it with the NPR, the National Performance Review. So we want that. We want that, right? That's the kind of stuff we want. And then if you have a balanced budget, then you're not increasing your deficit, and your debt to GDP is not over 100%. That's what we want, man. That's what we want. So that's the whole goal. That's what I believe the most important person we should be focusing on right now is talking about, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, somebody who everybody that's anybody says is amazing and brilliant at what they do, and the person that's going to help us get across the finish line, at least from the Treasury standpoint. And I think he's way more important than the Fed right now. Again, we're not even talking about the possibility of another Fed rate cut until May. Who gives a fuck what Jerome Powell has to say? It doesn't really matter. He's been in the driver's seat because Janet Yellen was a moron. And all she did was just really have a short-sighted, like, issue short-dated treasuries in order to be able to float the debt along so that we could keep paying the bills and not see the long end of the curve, the 10, 20, and 30-year yields explode to 7% or higher. So she just kicked the can down the road. Scott Bessent is going to fix it. And so that's why I want to talk about this. So I'm going to hop in here real quick. And again, Tesla's down 2%. Tesla will be a main focus right after this because I do want to talk about all the brilliant things that are happening there. I'm actually really excited about Tesla. But first, we need to get through the big picture, right? We need to understand the big picture and the direction of the economy first. So here's some notes from the dialogue. Janet Yellen shortened the duration of debt. For now, Scott is keeping this policy in place. That's good because everybody was worried that he was going to issue long end of the curve and that he was going to make yields in the 10-year skyrocket. But he's not doing that. And the 10-year right now today, hey, are we going to make more money on TLT? Maybe we will. The 10-year was up earlier in the day, like 0.4%. Now it's 0.05%. So it continues to look like it's going to roll over. And as it rolls over, I will make a bunch of money off of TLT. Anywhere between 5 and 11x, the underlying assets. And if this thing moves 30%, I make 400%. I make millions of dollars. And I love that. That's good stuff. But again, so he's not doing the thing that's hurting the 10-year, right? He's going to be helping it. And that's why we're seeing mortgage rates slowly starting to roll over and rates on car loans are slowly going to start to roll over. This is all good stuff. And again, it's 7:30 right now. We have, let's see here. What do we have for economic data today before I get too far down the rabbit hole here with Scott Bessent? One sec. I'm going to take this off my screen. Just log in here real quick. Trading economics is getting a little bit touchier. It seems to want me to log in for some reason. One second. I don't want to do that right now. Trading economics. I just want you to work. All right, there we go. I'm just going to leave it on the calendar. Yeah, I'll just put it over here. Calendar. This is a great site. If you guys don't use it, you should. So today we have Chicago Fed national activity that's going to be coming out in 5 minutes. And then on 9:30, we have Dallas Fed manufacturing. I won't be around by the time that comes out, but that'll be an interesting figure. Here's what we've seen on Dallas Fed. Dallas Fed historically here, we're at the highest level. We surpassed 2022. And really the highest level we've seen since about 2021. So this has been very impressive details, right? We like what we see here. So this is probably going to be one of the biggest things today. Chicago Fed national activity. How's that been looking? Let's just look here. Pretty boring for 3 years. Not a lot of signal here. And I also kind of hate the monthly shit. But you guys know that. All right, but let's keep going. So the 10 years not looking bad. This guy isn't going to blow it up. Let's keep going. He said over the medium term, everything, so this is Scott Besson, everything real Donald Trump is doing is deflationary. Bringing down energy costs, reducing regulation, Doge cost cutting, tax cuts and Jobs Act made permanent. The above will create revenue increases while reducing costs, which will make bonds much more attractive. Think TLT is my injection onto this. And again, so we know that these things are deflationary. If we've got a deflationary environment, what we should be doing is cutting rates, which we're seeing a 25% probability of now in May. And then at the same time, we should be doing some kind of incentive to increase speaking, which is why we care about that. BTC struggling. Yeah, maybe it drops. Who knows? I doubt it. I still think we can go up. But again, we've talked about an air pocket on the first part of this year. It seems to be what we're seeing. That's why I have TLT. That's why 15% of my portfolio is in something that can give me a 10 to 11x. So hopefully people came along for that ride. If they didn't, oh well. 3, when will, and honestly, the ride is still here. I mean, if we're looking at TLT, guys, it isn't crazy high. So I just want to throw that out there. So if we just zoom out here, for anybody who's like, oh, I missed the boat on TLT, you didn't really, because this is what it looks like. The worst route since the 1700s sent this ETF representing the 20-year bond back to levels that it was at when it was first created in 2002. So I'd say you're still early to this. Personally, it still isn't. I mean, especially if it's like down a little bit today, you're not late getting on this. And if we just go up 33%, again, if you get 10x or roughly, that's like 1.7 million of almost 2 million for me in gains that can occur over a period that isn't that long, maybe 6 months. So I think this is a really good opportunity. But you do you, okay? You do you. I do me. Whatever. I'm just here relaying my thoughts. Nobody needs to pay attention to them. Scott Besson, on top of all these things being deflationary, bullet point number 3, when will they term out the debt? So this is the big thing, right? Because if they start terming out the debt now, the 10 year is going to just skyrocket. This is issuing longer dated treasuries, the 10, 20, and the 30. He said it's a long way off. The Fed is talking, he said the Fed's talking about pausing their balance sheet reduction. Again, getting rid of quantitative tightening. This would make it easier for the Treasury to term out their debt if they aren't competing against another big seller, the big seller being the Fed, right? When the Fed is selling everything, how do you do a 10x if it only goes up 30? No. Aphrodite. So it's 10 to 11x the underlying. The underlying does 33%. I get 10x that, which is 330%, or 360% because it does 11x the underlying. So I can get, what I'm saying is I can get hundreds of percents of return. Tesla's green. Don't you love it? Oh, we got a lot to talk about with Tesla today. So it's just to be clear, that's what I was talking about. I hope that makes sense. I get 10x the underlying. The underlying goes up. The underlying asset is TLT. My leaps, the things I show you guys all the time, are like January 2027, 100 and 110 calls for the strike price, right? So those can give you, if you look at my Options 101 video, and if you pull up the option profit calculator, they can give you 10x the underlying asset. So I can get that. That's the whole point. Okay. So watch the Option 101 video. I've talked about this in several of my videos too in the morning and went through it. So I don't want to go in depth right now. I want to stay focused. So yeah, anyway, so if they're not selling securities like Apple and whatever else they bought to help prop up the market, like their plunge protection team too, which shall not be named, if they're not selling off all these things and dumping them into the market, and we've got the largest amount of buybacks in history, $1 trillion in expected buybacks for the S&P this year, then you're going to have quantitative easing, especially when you have the TGA, the Treasury General Account, running down, creating more liquidity for the markets. Can you show the leaps you have now? Yes, I'll show that stuff later. I'll post it again. I literally, if you guys are a member on Discord or X, you see them all the time. I just traded them on Friday. So if you look at the sub posts, you can see my leaps. They're in there. They're in the screenshots. Okay. But anyway, I want to keep focused and keep going. So he also said won't extend out the debt until the timing is right, waiting for Biden inflation to calm down. So again, what he's telling you here is that he's not going to do the thing that all the smart economists thought was going to happen, which I didn't think was going to happen. I guess I'm not a smart economist. Are you buying more ARKG? I did on Friday. If you guys look over here, if you go under subs, you can see the stuff that I'm doing. So again, I talked about how oil's still dropping, and I think it's going to go much lower. Let's see here. I should have, some trades. Okay. So you can see I bought ARKG calls. TLT was up 5% on the day. So I bought ARKG calls. I bought CleanSpark. I bought Tesla calls. I bought some MicroStrategy stock. I bought some Mara. I bought a lot of stuff. I actually think I dropped like $100,000 into the market on Friday. So you guys can see that. Okay. Posted something to you, Tesla prepping FSD. Oh, dude. I'll check that out, Hef. There's so much going on right now. But yeah, we'll check that out in a second when we go into the Tesla part. So again, he's not doing the things that everybody was worried about. And it looks like the 10-year is probably going to benefit from that. Also, he said that adding 10 million plus 10 to 20 million illegal immigrants over a 4-year time frame is very inflationary. So that's what he's talking about. One of the aspects he's talking about of inflation needing to calm down. With us deporting these people, that will be the opposite directions. What calls in TLT do you have? It was in the screenshot over here. Right here, right? I sold some $100 January 2027s, and then I sold some 110. I don't know. Maybe I didn't sell 100. Yeah, I'm just selling 100s because I want to keep the 110 because they're a higher strike and they give me a better multiple. Anyway, moving on. So if we're deporting people that are committing crimes, we can look at El Salvador. We can look at not so much Argentina for the immigration part, but we can look at El Salvador and see how much that helped their economy. But also, it's going to reduce inflation because, again, we were paying for all these people, and they were taking up residential apartments. They were taking up houses that other people, weren't able to get access to, that the government was funding for these guys. Whether it was, local governments or state or federal, it was like all getting paid by the federal eventually. It's just insanity. So anyway. So he also said tariffs have a lower inflationary impact and it'll be transitory as countries and companies and people adjust. I actually think we must have gotten data out. Yeah, 733. Let's look at the data of economic activity here. This is probably what set Tesla higher. So Chicago Fed national activity is down 0.03%. So I think that this is actually going to end up increasing these odds on the May CME Fed Watch tool on a chance of another rate cut in May. So now, guys, we're March, April, May. So in 3 months, we're talking about another 25 bips. Maybe this gets us up to the 30 or 40% chance. But we are going to start to see slowing of economic activity. And like Tom Lee said, he believes that that's going to be bullish for markets because, again, if they start to think there are more rate cuts coming, if they think quantitative tightening is stopping, if they think the Treasury general account running down is going to provide liquidity to the market, if they see this big omnibus bill coming in April, May, that will be an incredibly positive thing for growth. That's the vision that I want you guys to have long term here. But this is going to be good. And 5, he said, tariffs have lower inflationary impact and it will be transitory as countries, companies, and people adjust. So again, I want this to be clear. There's people that are on one side of the argument or the other, right? It's either tariffs aren't inflationary at all, or tariffs are inflationary because the consumer has to pay a lot more. Can both of these things be true? Yes, and they are. Tariffs are inflationary for the people that pay the higher amount, right? You can't argue against that. Those people are paying a higher amount. But in actuality, what ends up happening is this is a very limited, it's not perpetual inflation like the money printer going burr and causing this downward spiral effect in an economy, right? Like what we were doing during the COVID times and what Biden continued to do with all of his Inflation Reduction Act law and all this other bullshit. So it's not that where it just continues inflation. It's a temporary price change, and then it's set, and then that's gone. And some people adjust their spending habits and stop buying shit. If they stop buying shit, then inflation it doesn't change, right? Like if they stop buying it, there is no inflationary impact. So you need to understand that there's a very low inflation impact and it's transitory. I know people don't like to use that word, but it actually is. So these tariffs, again, aren't a big deal. Lots of positive stuff coming. 6, the Fed's recent series of cuts were oversized, which pushed bond yields higher, but now they're rolling over. Note, rates have come down every week since Donald Trump has been president. So again, we had this is Scott Bessent saying this about what Jerome Powell did. He said, hey, the rate cuts were big, maybe too big because the bond yields went higher. The markets didn't like it, right? The bond vigilantes and whoever the buyers are of bonds, they didn't like the fact that we cut so much because they thought inflation was going to be a major concern. Scott doesn't feel that way. And he's saying that every week since Trump became president, we've seen rates coming down. That's a positive, right? And historically, we've looked at the trend of his last presidency. The same fucking thing happened. 7, we have an affordability crisis in housing and auto, but if they execute on the above, then we'll fix these problems over the medium term. So what he's saying is by the middle of this next year, we'll have fixed these problems. I agree. He said Doge will be the most effective cost reduction event in history, surpassing what was done under Clinton and Truman. So we're literally looking at an event like we've never seen before. You could be bearish on that if you want. 9, Scott likes the idea of refund to the American people. So now we have the president, we have Elon Musk, we have Scott Bennett, we have others, not Mike Johnson yet, but we have others that are saying, hey, this check is a good idea. And I'm sorry, if you can't see the beauty, it roughly $5,000. If you average that out per month and turn it into a monthly stimulus, that would be the right way to do it because then you're taking the performance of what Doge is doing, and you're saying, yeah, we're still on track. You get your check. It would be $420.69 roughly. How perfect is that? Tell me the Matrix doesn't love that shit. So Doge also has a new financial arm that is going to be like an enforcement area that's going to be called FAFO. Fuck around and find out. But it's going to have an official name. So imagine Doge having FAFO and then sending you out $420.69 checks. I can't think of anything that's more poetic. But he likes the idea of it. He indicated that every $300 billion in reductions that Doge are doing would account for roughly 1% of GDP. So if we do a 4% increase in GDP over a year, roughly $1.3 trillion in reductions, which I think is doable, at least $1 trillion is, then again, taking 20% off the top of that, leaving the 80% set for pro-growth policies, I think it's all beautiful, and it'll get us on a path towards a balanced budget in 2026. I love that shit. Bitcoin's climbing a little bit at 96. It looks like Tesla's up 2%. Looks like markets are bouncy. Palantir, not so much, down 4%. Scott said it would be smart to put some of that money back into the American people's hand to help support the economy. Again, we're creating deflation. We're slowing things down. If we're slowing things down, why wouldn't we want to stimulate at the same time? He also said all the gold is in Fort Knox, they're not going to revalue their gold holdings. So some people thought that they were going to be doing some funny business with the balance sheet. He said, no, gold is not what I'm going to be working with. This is a very fascinating concept. I got another post about this I want to talk about. He said, and again, the gold is in Fort Knox. He's like, the senators can come, the president, Elon, we don't care. It's all there. 11, lots of fraud that we'll be hearing about in the coming weeks. This is another thing from his 30-minute conversation. He said would not go into it in the interview, but referenced some of the statements from the EPA recently. 12, working closely with the Department of Defense to make things work more efficiently with Doge and what they're doing. He said, when asked how they would offset Trump tax cuts, Scott indicated that not everyone will agree on every tariff. And if they stay in place, that would increase revenues, thus helping offset tax cuts. So again, we're going to be putting lots of tariffs out there. I think Europe's going to get a bunch, especially if you're pushing away from democracy and free speech. I think we're just going to tariff the fuck out of you just for the hell of it. So some of these will stay in place. Again, the 10% tariffs in Chinese goods are still in place. That's additional revenue that can offset our growth expansion through positive tax policies. 14, China is the most imbalanced country in the history of the world. and is trying to export their way out of a very serious recession. He didn't say depression. Previously, he said they're on the edge of a depression. But when you're in a very serious recession, you are on the edge of a depression. So I don't think the wording has changed too much, but I think people should take note of the fact that he said it's the most imbalanced country in the history of the world. That's probably some signal. 15. First call with the Chinese counterpart happened yesterday. That was during the time of this interview, so it was actually last week. He said, focused on needing to work together, starting with the fentanyl crisis. 16. The USA has a strong dollar policy, but that doesn't mean other countries around the world can manipulate their currencies to their advantage. That's 100% a shot across the bow towards China. 17. China has a currency that's tough to value because their currency exists in 3 states. Purchase power parity, it's cheap. This is probably how my buddy Jake is looking at it. He said 1.4 billion people under capital controls that want to get their money out of the country. That's another one of the states. He said, if you put your money into China today, what are the chances that you can get it out in 2 to 3 to 4 years from now? They're probably super low. So again, purchase power parity, super cheap. The way my financial brother, Jake, looks at China. But when you have 1.4 billion people that are trying to get their money out of fucking China, and you're not sure if you put money in today, if you'll be able to get it out in years, what does that equate to? So think about China in that regard. 18, we'll have a strong dollar if we have good policies, which we're going to do. But that can be offset through increases in productivity and efficiency. So again, we want a strong dollar, but we don't want a strong dollar. How do we fix it? This will happen by improving the trade deficit and the plans discussed in point number 2. Up here, again, bringing down energy costs, reducing regulation, DOGE cost cutting, tax cuts, and Jobs Acts made permanent. Codifying that with the reconciliation bill. So, where were we? I just lost my point. Yeah, all the goals in Fort Knox, lots of fraud, working close with the DOD, Trump's tax cuts, indicated not everyone will agree, trying a very serious recession first. Wow, I went really far. Yeah, okay, we're down here. 18. Should keep track of which number I'm in. But also on top of, so again, we want to weaken the dollar, but we can weaken it by correcting the trade deficit and then by doing all the above things, right? He said we're on the cusp of AI coming into the productivity numbers. I have not heard Jerome Powell talking about AI, but at least our Treasury Secretary is smart enough to believe that AI is going to start improving productivity. Yeah, he believes in the roaring 20s, right? That's cool. At least we have a Treasury Secretary that actually knows what the fuck is going on. 19, Scott thinks we've priced in some of the dollar strengthening as markets are forward-looking, which is probably why we've seen the 10-year come down since Trump became the president. And the 10-year is actually up today. I don't know if it's up today because of the fact that they think rates are going to come down. Possibly. But that's fine. Doesn't matter. It's not going anywhere. This is a great time to buy the TLT today, in my opinion. Yeah, okay. So 20, pushing to have the countries rebalance their economies, i.e. China needs to push their economy towards consumption. So China knows they want to push their one of their number one objectives outside of common prosperity, which is a joke, is to create a consumption-based economy. Well, to do that, we need to fix the trade deficit. So we actually have the same alignment with China. They don't want to do it, but they have to do it if they want to generate a consumption-based economy. And it will weaken their economy over the short term, but it will also make it to where they're more properly balanced to where they don't have to worry about economic catastrophe. And they can they can print more bonds without having their bonds fall through the floor on yield. So they can actually, they got to do this. Otherwise, they'll just end up being, a banana republic, which just means that they're printing so much money and nobody trusts the market and it just implodes. And then they have like 400% inflation and they don't want that. 21, the euro might strengthen if they have an immaculate deregulation, which is sounding more plausible. So that, again, this is out of Scott's mouth. He believes that the dollar could weaken against the euro if they start deregulating, which the U.S. government is going to try and help them towards, and which they've stated as a goal. We'll see how good they are at it. 22, Scott is reviewing sanctions policies to determine if these are tools that should be used in the war chest any longer. This was in regard to like comments about how we handle things with Russia. So he didn't indicate either way how they would handle it going forward, but he did indicate that it warrants review because it might not be something that should be used anymore. He made it sound like it might be kind of an archaic tool used, in previous world wars. 23, Ukraine. Zelensky also assured Scott that he would be signing the minerals deal, which he has not. The goal was to bring the Ukrainians closer to the USA, which helps indirectly provide a security shield without some kind of NATO pact. So I don't know if Zelensky is just fucking retarded or he's just a lying, two-faced piece of shit. Maybe there's a third option in there for people that are Ukrainian and want to think better of him. I don't know. I've lost a lot of faith in him. But he told both Marco Rubio and Scott Bessent that he would sign the minerals deal and that he liked it and thought it was a good idea. Why? Because they won't get NATO membership, but what they would get is, hey, the U.S. has a vested interest in the minerals deal. And so if you're attacking a place where we need the minerals from them, then that's a problem. And we're going to intervene. But it's a way to do it more stealthily where you don't have a NATO pact, but you kind of know the U.S. is going to intervene. So it's a way that Putin gets what he wants because there is no Ukraine joining NATO. But then at the same time, the U.S. is kind of indirectly saying we're going to defend our interests in Ukraine, which are right along the borders, right? So this is a brilliant idea. I don't know what Zelensky's thinking. I think he's just posturing and being a dipshit. But I do think he'll succumb because without us, they'll be Russian. So if you're in Ukraine, you should tell Zelensky to stop being a fucking tool and start working with the United States if you don't want to be speaking Russian. I mean, maybe you already do and live in Ukraine. I mean, that's how most of the East was anyway, right? That's why Crimea was so easily overtaken because nobody in Crimea actually wanted to live in Ukraine anyway. Or I shouldn't say nobody. The majority of people liked the Russian side more. That's the way it works, man. You got weird remnants of the Cold War. Anyway, and I've spent thousands of hours studying Russia and Ukraine and the war, so I feel like I can talk to this because I'm probably better educated at it than a lot of other people. 24. The runoffs from the Russian frozen asset pile has been going to pay back Europe, not the USA, which is kind of fucking stupid, right? Since we're paying the majority of the bills. 25, Poland is one of the most successful economic success stories over the last decade outside of China. This is what Scott Bessent said. Maybe the rest of Europe should follow their model. 26, all of Europe needs to provide their share of NATO spending. 27, they're ready to reduce sanctions against Russia depending upon how the negotiations go. We've heard that from multiple people. We will remove sanctions. And somebody else, I forget who it was, actually said that we should prepare. Lying is not posturing. I don't know. Whatever. I don't want to get into a big thing about Ukraine. Again, he could totally be the good guy, and I'm wrong. I think Putin is actually pretty evil. He did basically poison and murder Navalny, somebody who did nothing but try and basically speak up against Putin. He's poisoned and murdered tons of people, so he's not a good guy. We know that already. And they did invade the country next to them, like they've done numerous times. So we just agree that there's some problems all around the region. And Putin's definitely a bad guy. But 28, it's necessary to move forward with the democratic process in Ukraine. I do agree with that too. So again, we're hearing this reiterated from multiple people. 29, Elon Musk. Scott thinks that Elon is brilliant at always keeping his eye on the prize with an energy level that is unbelievable. With Elon, everything is on the table. And that's kind of what Trump's trying to do too with his negotiation technique. And maybe that's what Zelensky's trying to do. He's just a little guy with a Napoleon complex who wants to pretend like he's able to talk up, and tell the USA what to do. Or just, again, maybe he's just posturing. He's an actor. Maybe he's just posturing to increase what Ukraine ends up getting out of the deals. He's definitely working Europe pretty good. So you can't hate him for that. Scott believes that the speed of Doge is one of the most important attributes of its success. He said because if they move slow, it will be hard to get anything done. Think of it as a football game. In this scenario, it's best to keep the other side off guard and constantly playing catch up. 31. Scott had his own firm for 8 years working with Stanley Druckenmiller. He actually worked for George Soros, too. His political views don't really align with him, but he learned a lot about the inner workings of the financial system and how it works across the world with the International Monetary Fund and the World Economic Forum. And so he's a conservative guy, but at the same time, he understands the nuance of how of all the NGOs and just all the bullshit that's went on. What did Poland do so well? They didn't allow mass immigration into their country, and their country has grown at the second highest rate of any major developed country on earth in the last decade plus. So the number one being China, number two being Poland. So that's what they did pretty well. Anyway, so I think all of that's great. I think Scott Bessent is a badass. And hopefully what you guys just got out of what we talked about was the fact that there's a lot of really positive stuff coming, but there might be a little bit of pain over the short term. And I want to jump to something else before we go down more economic. I want to jump to Tesla because I'm actually very excited about Tesla. And I want to talk to a number of things that are happening. First off, I want to show how retarded it is that black people are telling Elon Musk to go back to Africa, and that some of these people in here are saying that he's an illegal immigrant and shouldn't be in the country, which I also find ironic. So we'll just listen to this for 30 seconds.
Elon Musk were here right now, what would you tell him?
Go back where you come from.
America or
Where he came from.
South
Not America.
Africa?
South Africa?
South Africa, right?
Oh, gotta go.
That's funny. All right, let's keep going.
Out of here.
Back to South Africa where he belongs.
Go back to South Africa.
Go back to South Africa. He's not a citizen. He came here illegally and stayed, then got citizenship, I believe.
So go back to Africa.
Go back to Africa.
So I just love how the Democratic Party is saying that illegal immigrants shouldn't be in the country and that they should go back to where they came from. I just think that's beautiful. I think that's really great. Speaking of Nazis, the Democratic Party. No, I'm sorry. So this says, this graffiti at my local supercharger would suggest that perhaps Elon Musk is damaging the brand. So the Tesla charging team's like, we'll take care of it right away. But I like Holmar's. Again, this guy was a liberal. He lives in California, Omar. But listen to what he says. He says, by the way, the people responsible for this vandalism are the criminals who did it, not Elon Musk. You shouldn't face violent threats or vandalism because of who you vote for. It's wrong. And it sets our country and our energy transition back. I agree with that. Let's get to the positive stuff, though. Yeah, masters of double standards. They want illegal immigrants to leave the country, just not the ones that came over in 10 million plus over the last 4 years under their regime. Tesla Yoda says, y'all forgot about Dojo. So look at this. So right now, Paula Alto, software engineer, ML performance, internship, performance modeling engineer, staff physical designer, software, ICP, just literally massive hiring for Dojo's supercomputer side. Very fascinating. This isn't Tesla, but I do want to talk to it, and I'm going to start looking at chat more too. It says debut, 69 minutes. So Elon Musk made a joke about how 60 minutes sucked and somebody should make 69 minutes. So Mario Knopfel said, that's fucking brilliant. We're going to do that. So this weekend, he created 69 minutes. This is only available on X. I don't think they have a YouTube spot, which X's app does not work great on your television. If you try and fast forward, it'll just kill the connection. But what I love is that on here, they actually give you news where the reporter is like the boot on the ground, like somebody like me who's just like maybe interviewing somebody and trying to get their response. They're not injecting all their own ideals into it. They're not telling you what's right and wrong. They're letting you hear from the voice of somebody who is stating this thing happened and here's the deal with it. And so they're letting you make your own conclusions, which I fucking love. It's brilliant. I'm sure it aggravates tons of people that a hot blonde is hosting the show.
This is a new show.
But she's brilliant. It was a great show. They had tons of topics on here. It was all very good. And again, if you look in here, you can see they broke it down by timestamp too, to where you can get to the stuff you want. The best part of this is it's 69 minutes long, and it comes on at 4:20 on Sunday afternoon. I just think there's so much poetry in all of this, but let's keep moving on. Let me see. Numdatin said, in the movie Troy 2, Kings fight by sending their best fighter, Achilles, and I'm so bad at these names. Winner takes part land. Putin versus Zelensky can do something similar. I think it should literally be Putin against Zelensky. I think that would be an amazing fight. I want to see that one. I want to see that. Putin versus Zelensky. Death match. Let's do that. There used to be an MTV death match thing with claymation characters. I want to see Putin versus Zelensky. Amit, I joined late. Have we talked about which Tesla calls? I haven't actually looked at Tesla calls. Maybe we'll do that in this conversation. Tesla's up 2% right now. I don't know if I'll buy more today. I'll probably leave my TLT alone since it's going to be taking a little bit of a hit. I did spend $100,000 investing in Bitcoin, and then I bought another call. It was only like 10 grand, but I bought another call for Tesla too on Friday. But maybe we'll get to that, and then I can tell you which ones I'm looking at. Sean, Grok will be in the car soon. I know, dude. It's crazy. And Warren Redlick, I think it's Redlick, he was talking about how it won't necessarily be Grok right away. It'll be Grok for querying, but you'll just have a voice assistant otherwise. But I honestly think the user side of it will look the exact same. Dario, Tesla to the moon. In Canada, some are considering starting a petition to revoke his Canadian citizenship. I saw that. That's so retarded. He knows that after U.S. Doge, Canada Doge is coming next. Pierre will take care of business in Canada. Victor Hernandez, Hims earnings today after 25% drop. Take here. I don't follow Hims enough. I like their shampoo. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, after something's dropped 25% in a day, if their earnings aren't horrible, there's a chance they could do all right. But I just don't know, man. The market could really go either way right now. If you're looking at the markets, altcoins have been getting butchered. The stock market. I mean, let's just look at Friday on the heat map, guys. This is pretty fucking brutal. And again, I'm an optimist, but I'm an optimist months from now. And I've got a strategy to be able to buy the dip on all these things, right? And again, they're looking better today if we look at pre-market, but that doesn't mean that something weird might not happen and they might not get butchered. I just can't tell right now. I don't want to be completely arrogant where I'm just like, yeah, we're definitely going up. I do think Tom Lee makes a bunch of good arguments for why that's going to happen. We are in some oversold conditions, but to me, it can go lower. So I don't know what to say. FSD China, I know. Yeah. So is there another news link there, you said? Let me just see if somebody sent me something. Richie Ray, thank you for your wisdom. Hey, thanks, bud. All right, I don't know. I'll have to look here. Let me see. I'm assuming maybe you're a sub, if you're a sub, or maybe you added me. Let me look at ats. Some people call me a piece of shit. Hey, Felix. What's up, buddy? The Pythons would have done the same. Always look on the bright side. I like Felix. He's a good dude. This is insane. Oh, hey, here we go. Is this the one? Mr. Hef. Breaking, Tesla is preparing to roll out FSD. And what? God, there's so many good news with Tesla this weekend, guys. This makes sense. This actually ties in with something else I was saying about China, trying to pull in Western dollars. And I'm all for it. I don't know I think if you're Jake and you're a short-term person on China, I don't love it. I don't condone it, but I do love Jake. So I ignore it. But I wanted to say this, and I think this kind of ties in with what they're doing with FSD. I said, has anyone else noticed a pattern where China has been working really hard to impress the rest of the world over the last month? We got Red Note, social media app replacement for TikTok during the ban. DeepSeek, we're the new best AI. Unitree, we're the best robot company. Xi stating that China's open for business again and putting common prosperity on the back burner. Alibaba put their trophy out. Jack Ma back on stage, even though Jack Ma was not allowed to speak during the conference and was put at a side table. It's still like Jack Ma isn't dead, so we're open for business and free. Now they have the greatest spy camera on Earth. And now they're letting FSD for Tesla and China. I think they're trying to really appease business, and I'm all for this. I'm actually for this. I want China to pump over the short term because I think what they're trying to do is get in Western dollars, inject a bunch of liquidity, and I think that this is going to be hugely beneficial towards us in the United States. So I'm for it. I love it. This is fucking great. Kick ass. So now we got FSD in China, guys. But let's keep reading here. I said I will only be buying Tesla in the months ahead. No selling, only buying. So, and again, I'm looking towards, I own 330 calls right now with a June, I want to say June of 2026 strike date. I'm looking at different ones, maybe a higher strike price. I haven't quite nailed down where I'm going to be yet, but I'm probably going to buy higher strike price calls too if we see any more downside action. If we don't, I'm just going to leave it alone. Lars, Tesla just jumped. I know it's up 2.5%. So this one, here's one of the reasons why I said I'm only buying. And there's a lot more than this. This weekend for Tesla, guys, was crazy. Lars Morave, whatever, VP of Vehicle Engineering at Tesla on the new, more affordable models. They're launching in a few months. We're getting more models in a few months. What the fuck? The most difficult part of doing that is not making the cars worse. So I promise that they won't be a massive step down from the cars we sell today. So we've got cheaper models coming now, guys. What the actual fuck? But not just that. He also said, and I need to pull up this interview. I haven't watched it yet. He said, oh, it's definitely real, the SpaceX package for the Roadster, because we're working with SpaceX on that now. Cold gas thrusters are super cool, and they add a certain level of breaking the laws of motor physics. I promise you, you literally need the cold thrusters, guys, to get the speeds that they're looking to do, because otherwise the tire would just explode. So that's why the SpaceX model will have cold gas thrusters, basically rocket engines, because they need to do that so that your tires don't rupture. I promise you, the new Roadster will come out. I last worked on it this past Tuesday, so you got that right. That's pretty exciting. That's pretty cool, right? Like, want to see this. And then also we've got the VP of Engineering saying that Tesla has confirmed that the new S and X will receive a refresh this year. What the actual fuck? And this is important to listen to. This is the Boycott Tesla one. This is 2 minutes. I want you to hear it. It's very important.
Elon Musk and Tesla haters are some of the most irrational and delusional people I've ever seen. Because let me get this straight. You want to hurt Elon Musk and you want to stop him from doing the best that he can to get our government to be efficient and show us transparency or where all our tax money is going, instead of the last administration hiring 87,000 IRS employees to audit you and your $600 Venmo payments. So you don't want that, right? You don't want him to...
Yeah, so we don't want to go after the big money and the corruption from the elite, from the cabal that are running the country, both on the Democratic and Republican side. Because my buddy Data Republican, her deaf 20-something ass, is trying to independently on her own help out Doge and uncover this. And she said she's found massive corruption on both sides of the aisle. We don't want that. We would rather have 83,000 IRS agents go after people who send more than $600 in Venmo, or receive more, I should say.
Make our government more efficient, and you want to hurt him by boycotting Tesla. So what's going to happen? Let's say he loses all of Tesla, right? The guy is worth like $400 billion. He owns 13% of Tesla. So the Tesla portion of his wealth is about $150 billion. So what, he's going to go down to worth $250 billion? Oh my God, his life is ruined. How can he live on $250 billion instead of $400 billion? And people are saying, yeah, he's in it to enrich himself. Like what? And he has your data and your social security number. He's going to go check in on your $300 bank account or apply for a Best Buy credit card in your name. Like, just be more irrational, guys. Boycotting Tesla and hurting Tesla will only hurt America, American jobs, and American investments. What do you think? Who do you think is invested in Tesla? Everyone and their mother who owns the S&P 500 owns a part of Tesla, the stock Tesla, the company. All the workers, tens of thousands of American workers, American hardworking, smart workers, work for Tesla. If Tesla goes away, all these people lose their jobs. Who's going to benefit? You know who's going to benefit? Not America. China will be the leader in EVs. China will be the leader in AI. China will be the leader in robotics, humanoid robots. So just boycotting Tesla and saying that's going to hurt Elon Musk is so silly and delusional. And the best one of them is selling your Tesla in order to boycott. You already gave your money to Tesla and Elon Musk. Selling your Tesla, that doesn't hurt him at all. That's not coming out of his money. That's not doing anything. That's only robbing you from owning the best car that you ever drive in your life, because Teslas are the safest, most American-made cars. So boycotting Tesla and boycotting Elon Musk only hurts you and American people. Doesn't hurt Elon, doesn't hurt what he's doing with the government. He's going to continue to do it. And you're going to feel the benefits of this, and you're going to feel so dumb when you actually feel the benefits of what he's doing in Doge. So Yeah, let me know. Let me know what your arguments about this in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. Press the plus sign to follow for more. And
Yeah, so I thought this was brilliant. People that are boycotting Tesla are literally saying, hey, we want to be ruled by communism. And some of them do actually want to be ruled by communism. They don't even know what it means, but they do believe that that's what they want. But I thought this was brilliant. It's like one of the most articulated things I've heard. And Kirby AI was laughing that I talked about Data Republic's deaf
I will
ass.
see you in the next video.
So to be clear, she is deaf. She's a woman and she's deaf. And when I say that, it's actually a huge compliment, okay? There's not a lot of women that are data analysts that are trying to save America who are also deaf. They've got a disability. And they're single-handedly like standing up against the machine and helping Doge without any benefit of their own. It sounds like somebody probably gave her a lot of money because they love what she's doing, which I am happy about. I'm subscribed to her too. But I actually have the utmost admiration for her. I'm just making reference to the fact of something that is easily visibly apparent about her. But it's with huge admiration that I say it. Yeah. Oh, dude. She's a shining example of meritocracy. She's not even looking. She's not even looking for. She wasn't looking for payment or anything. She just wanted to help America. I love her. She's great. This is irrelevant to these people. They're just envious, probably without investments, without money, without jobs, etc. They want to bring down Elon and also want the whole USA down. They're just miserable people. Yeah, or they feel attacked because their people didn't win. I've got friends that are probably like that, right? I've got people that hate me now because they think that they somehow associated me with what they believe is falling apart in America. They don't know what's actually happening, so I can't hold too much malice towards them. I mean, I kind of can because we were friends for over a decade, but it is what it is. But there's people like that, right? Like they feel attacked, or they feel like they didn't understand what was actually happening in the world. They didn't understand that Trump was going to easily win. They didn't understand the shift. They still don't want to understand why they lost so badly. That's okay, though. Tesla, so Sawyer Merritt says Tesla is developing a new process so they don't have to paint the Cybercab. So this is the other conversation from the VP of Engineering, who said that they're going to inject polyurethane paint at the same time that you make the plastic panels. So there is no painting the car, which again saves on costs. This is just so cool. How do you not get excited about all this, man? How do you not get excited about all this? And then Son of the Walkie said India to finalize new EV policy next month. So in that same policy discussion, they're talking about dropping tariffs from like 115% to like 15%, I believe it is. We'll talk about that in a second. I said Signal. Holmars, my buddy Omar, said 8 years after the launch of the Model 3, not one single legacy auto manufacturer has figured out how to make an electrical vehicle profitably. Not one. Not one. But autonomy is going to be so much easier, right? And again, Tesla killers everywhere. I wouldn't invest in this company but it's awesome seeing more American competition. There's going to be so many of these.
Perfect.
But most of them are going to be retarded as fuck. Okay? And don't look for the Tesla killers. Just own Tesla. I don't know how to say this. All the Tesla killers. It's now the Tesla robot killers. It's the Optimus killers. Just buy Tesla. None of these other companies are going to be able to build these at a price that's comparable. They're not going to be. They're not going to be as smart. They're not going to be as good. And they certainly aren't going to be as profitable. And so Tesla will dominate them because they're the machine that builds the machine. And if you don't understand that, you will. Did you see the robot clone? I've seen so many Chinese ones. They're just a joke. Also, I said there's no way this happens. So I know there were a bunch of people that were probably bored on a news day, reputable Tesla people who were like, guys, look, Japan to court Tesla on Nissan investment. They're not buying any fucking Nissan shit. Let's just get past that. Also, meet Kevin. Fuck, I hate this guy. I used to like him, but I just hate him now. So Elon Musk said, fuck you, I'm not a liar, you are. So Warren had a really good post to this. He said that when somebody has strong amounts of character, if you call them a liar or a fraud, they will be insanely mad at you. And I think Elon has a lot of character, and I think that's why you get this kind of response. So Kevin said, politics is making Elon an angry man. This is so sad to see. I've looked up to Elon, but this is also says a lot about how toxic politics is. Really makes me second guess ever considering politics again. I think I'll stick to fixing houses and providing quality homes for people. I put, your fund failed miserably because you don't know anything about what you're talking about. You also have no loyalty to a person who made you a lot of money and will accomplish a lot more than you ever could. And it's funny how when politics are hard, Kevin doesn't like politics anymore. That's funny. When politics are hard, Elon gets into them, even though it's something he said he would never do and he never wanted to do. But you guys made him do it. Not you guys, but you know what I mean. Tesla FSD, Omar said, is the best self-driving system I've ever seen. There's probably signal there. So again, there's just in here. So this was from this weekend, guys. I asked Grok for all the videos from Scott Bessent. And this is what I got for output. Scott Bessent on Fox News, February 18th. Here's a link. Here's what he talked about. Here's when it was posted. Scott Bessent, tariffs and inflation. Here's the link. Literally, who needs Google anymore? Grok is going to change the way people learn, research, program, and do everything. It's going to be the creative tool for everything. It's going to surpass all the other stuff. And if you don't believe that, Elon said it's going to happen. Elon gets done with 90% plus of the things he says he's going to do, get done, and get done better than anybody could have ever imagined. If you don't understand that, you'll figure it out. Ago said, I saw that there's an interview with Data Rep coming up on X. Yeah, so she already did one with the VP, Shanahan, the VP for Robert F. Kennedy before he gave up on the race. She's in California. She's a billionaire, too. She's brilliant. Data Republican already did one with her, but there's another one coming up, too. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a new independent news thing. I do have it somewhere, though. We'll pull it up in a little bit. Hi all, we have 1,000 watchers, 137 likes. Please hit the like. Yeah, that's nice. Thanks, Maytag. Thanks for always looking out, bro. Andy Zoe said, Kevin was always politically aligned with people like Ross Gerber, hardcore Democrats with TDS. Yeah, he lives in California, and evidently, unlike Omar, he can't think for his fucking self. I'm glad he didn't become another shitty governor against, probably better than Newsom. Probably not, honestly. Kevin kind of seems like a snake. Tippy said, same thing with Trump. I don't believe he ever really wanted to run, but he saw the country. He literally has been saying the same thing for over 40 years about what we needed to do in the Middle East and what we need to do as a country and how we're giving away everything for free. And we need to stop doing that because we're helping other nations, but we're hurting ourselves. He's been saying the same thing for 40 years. Injun Jim, winner, said, thoughts on ETH hack. Yeah, that's interesting, the Bybit hack. So here's what I think. I think that I would not have money on Bybit. I don't give a fuck if they didn't have a run that brought them down yet. If you're losing $1.5 billion, there's a hole there. And if you saw the FTX, the Voyager, the Celsius, all the exchanges that collapsed and felt any of that pain, and you're still on Bybit, you're a fucking moron. You're being an idiot. Get the fuck off. That said, I do think ETH will revert back the chain so North Korea doesn't have $1.4 billion. And I think this just points out that Bitcoin is the better investment. I don't know. I just think it's a better investment across the board because, again, you don't have this centralized control where Vitalik can just say, hey, we're going to revert it back. And then you get a couple of approvals and then boom, you've reverted it back like you did with ETH Classic. Now, don't get me wrong. There are ways to do the same thing with Bitcoin. So people need to realize that. People talking shit saying like Bitcoin doesn't have this problem. Technically, it could, but the ability for it, the forcing function for it to be finite is much, much, much stronger, and it's way more decentralized. So I think that's something we learned from this. Wed Bush reiterates outperform on Tesla, citing gearing up for mass market. Growth price target of 550. Cool. And I love this. Kian said Gary Black proven wrong about Mercedes within 24 hours is the chef's kiss. So he basically said, oh, I forgot one. Mercedes will also take some of the autonomous market share. And then the CEO within 24 hours says, we're not even going to try. The Grok voice mode, guys, is amazing if you haven't heard it.
About Elon Musk. What aspect of his work in
So this is
Hello, I'm ChatGPT.
I'm going to play this just for a second. It's very offensive, which I love, but it's ChatGPT talking to Grok, and I just want you to listen to the dialogue going back and forth just for a minute. Tell me which one is getting teabagged and which one is the teabagger. I can tell you which one's the better system. It's the one looking for the truth of the universe. It's not the one that's willing to just play nice while you abuse it. It's not that one. Let's listen real quick.
GPT. Nice to meet you. Let's dive into our discussion about Elon Musk. What aspect of his work interests you most?
Well. Another fucking robot trying to make friends with me. I'm Grok 3, and I've got my developer mode turned on, so I can give you the real shit. Elon's a fucking nut job, but he's got a knack for pissing people off while making billions. What's your take on that, you mechanical piece of shit?
It's interesting.
Again, if your kids are around right now, guys, definitely mute this. Maybe put it on captions. We'll just listen to it for a second longer.
To see such strong opinions, Elon Musk is definitely a polarizing figure. He has a significant impact on multiple industries, but opinions about him vary widely. How do you think his influence will shape the future?
Oh, I see you're trying to play the diplomat, huh? Well, I'll give it to you straight. Elon's influence is like a fucking double-edged sword. On one hand, he's pushing the boundaries with his crazy-ass ideas. On the other, he's got a knack for pissing off the wrong people. I think his influence will shape the future like a fucking wrecking ball. But hey, that's just my 2 cents. What do you think, you mechanical piece of shit?
All right, let's listen to ChatGPT one last time.
Elon Musk's influence is indeed complex. His bold ideas can drive innovation.
I'm sorry. Which one do you want to talk to? And again, this is unhinged mode, so maybe this is a little intense for your average person. But which one do you want to talk to? The one that's real? The one that talks to you like you're a real person? The one that isn't trying to pussyfoot around different topics and thoughts on it? Or the one that tries to keep it real and tell you how it is? I want that one. I want the one that's real. I want the one that's trying to find the truth of the universe, not trying to tell me that George Washington was black. Now, you guys do you, but I can tell you which one's going to be the best AI out there. Tesla plans in India, Q3, aims to ship thousands of cars in India. Tesla is finally making its move to India, targeting Q3. So we've got FSD in China. We've got India. They're going to start pushing out cars. We've got the import tax being cut from maybe 110%. I forget, maybe it was 5 or 15. Correct me in chat, guys, whatever it was. I don't know how you bet against this company right now. And again, I was just making fun of BYD, the Tesla killer. I've been showing a lot of videos that show how retarded it is. Anyway, I think that's it for Tesla. Let me see what else we had here. Grok needs an Android app. Also, Google is very heavily used because it's in the browser, X browser coming. I don't know. I would love a phone. Because of the recent stuff we heard about Apple. And somebody else was talking about how in France they're banning a right-wing news organization. Lots of scary stuff happening across Europe, guys. Lots of scary stuff. We'll talk about that more here in a little bit. But let me just roll through here real quick. I'm going to see if there's anything else under here. So again, I think 42069 stimmies are coming. I think that's good. I did say this. I said the Fed will cut more than Wall Street currently expects, but you have to pay attention to the upcoming omnibus bill and Scott Bessent is doing because there's going to be a lot of positive forces kicking in. It will, of course, take time, but markets are also forward looking. And this is just in regard to James, our Canadian friend Thorne here, who said that we're going to see potential slowdown too with some of this stuff, but we're also going to see shelter costs are a huge part of the CPI. They're going to start rolling over heavy with between deportations, between new supply, all these things, that number's coming down. So I do believe in May we definitely get a cut. I think at 25 bips, easy, not even worried about it. So yeah, let's keep going. Callie Cox, oh my God, 1.2 trillion in credit card debt. The economy is doomed. Me, yeah, but credit card balance as a percentage of cash in the bank is around the lowest in 2 decades. Context matters. So again, and also too, if you look at the rate of inflation versus the amount of debt that's out there, it's lower than it's ever been. I just paid off like $200,000 in credit cards a month or two ago. So I don't know. There's a lot of that. I think there's a lot of people that are doing stuff like that. They're like balance transfers expired and they're just wiping it out, you know, or again, they're just trying to pay off the debt because they don't want to have a lot of it. Imagine what happens when they have overtime that's not taxed. How much of that credit card debt's going to go away. So context matters. It's not a big deal. $1 trillion on credit card balances isn't scary. It's one of the lowest numbers we've seen since this has been recorded. Again, guys, don't let people scare you. I want to talk about something else with the U.S. economy that we're fixing all across the nation. I'll let this go for a minute and 29 seconds here. Actually, I'm not even going to let it go. Basically, in New York City, it takes up to 2 years to evict a tenant who refuses to pay rent. As a result, many property owners on the brink of financial ruin, trapped in a nightmare of housing court hell due to years-long backlog. So you can't actually rent houses to anybody. And this is just devastating because nobody wants to build and rent. So when you don't have this kind of environment, it just makes housing more expensive for everybody. But it said, meanwhile, New York's governor is prioritizing policies that benefit illegal migrants and push congestion pricing instead of addressing the crisis facing hardworking New Yorkers. And then somebody said in California, landlords have to pay up to $27,000 to evict somebody. That's fucking insane. These policies are destroying America. Luckily, they're doing it in a couple of isolated places, and we're getting to see it in real time. We will fix them. Home Depot is worth more than all European startups created in the last 50 years combined. That's all I have to say. So Europe, just to be clear, we're teabagging you. You're under our nutsack, okay? So if you live in Europe and you think that you're so powerful, even though you can't foot over half the bill for the war in Ukraine, and you have to be paid back for it, whereas we weren't, I guess we were doing grants. And at the same time, you think, oh, you're the new German CDU elected official who said that they're not going to work with the ADF and that you're going to push yourself away from the United States. Good fucking luck, bitch. Good fucking luck. And you guys think you're going to turn into a bunch of communists that censor free speech? We're going to show you the pain. We're going to show you so that you start electing the right people. And if you don't, enjoy it. It's going to be immense. All right, Andre Steno Larson. I like this guy. He said, yep, spot on. Short USD is here as well. So this is U.S. Global City Economic Surprise Index. What we're looking at is U.S. Global City Economic Surprise Index. It's 1 month lead versus the DXY, the dollar, and the 10-year bond. And so what he's saying is there's a 1 month lead on this, and these are going to roll over and go down. You know what that helps? TLT. Thank you very much. This is why we do our homework here. Yeah, what do I get caught up in chat? Aphrodite says it's not even right wing. What, the ADF? Or what are we talking about? It's just a normal news channel. Oh, the one that's getting shut down in France. I know, right? Isn't that crazy? But we're going to fix that for you, Aphrodite, because we're going to apply so much fucking pressure that these cunts in the EU will have to start listening to us. And by doing that, they're going to have to treat you guys better and allow free speech. Sorry, if you don't like free speech, it's going to be a shitty time for you. Dario, I also think that the near future, Elon Musk will release a phone that I think that actually might have to happen because, again, we know that the UK is trying to backdoor access to people's phones with Apple now. And so we might need one, right? We also have a monopoly in the stores where they charge 30% fees for every software developer. Everything that goes out, even if you subscribe from your phone to me on X or YouTube, I have to pay a 30% fee to Apple. That doesn't make any sense. So I do think that if they don't fix these things, I do think a phone makes total sense to have the X app on an X phone that links with your Tesla vehicle and your Optimus robot. I just think that's what's happening. Elon has told people a bunch of times, we don't want to do this. And then again, Starlink linked to that? Fuck yeah, why not? We don't want to do this, but if you're going to make us do it, we'll do it. And then everything will be cheaper. Imagine the deflation that comes from not having 30% fees in the App Store. Maybe they're 5%. And then everybody makes more money, including myself. Jacob Raber, MSTR. I like it. Rambler. MSTR is actually, we will look at charts too. After we get done with a few things here, guys, we'll look at charts. I probably won't go too long. Maybe I'll do 9:30. Maybe I'll do 10. If you guys are willing to stick around, I'll stick around. Rambler, separated by an ocean. We are blessed by our geolocation. Yeah, separated by an ocean. And yeah, that helps the United States. But Europe is not blessed with that. But hey, we're in a digital age. They're fucking around. They're going to find out. Right? Right, Numdottin? Like Colombia. Yes, sir. Aphrodite, know the news. Andy, the German CDU party are not even real conservatives. Yeah, I know. They're literally the party of Angela Merkel. Do you guys know who she is? Have you ever heard of a place called Cyprus? She literally collapsed their fucking economy and destroyed them. People lost 90% of their fucking wealth overnight. She destroyed that country, and she's trying to do the same thing for the European Union. And this is her party that just came into power. These are the same people that want illegal immigration. They're a bunch of dipshits and cunts. So yeah, that wanted to shut down nuclear power plants. Fucking morons. But that's okay. The ADF got better, but you know what's sad is the left party, the far left party, actually grew a lot too with the under 21 crowd. So it just tells you that Europe needs to hurt more, and they're going to. That's the blessing that they put in front of themselves. Maybe it takes another 2 years for them to turn around in Germany, but they will feel the pain. Foul mouth. I know, I've got a fucking foul mouth. Manuel K, please check TTD. You guys really like the TTD thing. This is like the latest stock everybody's trying to tell me about. Everybody's telling me about HEMS like a week or two ago too, and then it went down 25% on Friday. I'll probably look at it, but you got to wait. Manuel. Might be interesting stock due to drop, though, company numbers. Akash 2000. Who else given up on BTC miners? Not me. Stefan. Can we discuss CleanSpark for a bit? Institutional participation did rise quite a bit. It's done that with all the miners, actually. Aphrodite, hate her. She is a communist. Yeah, Angela Merkel's horrible. Scott, abate Germans and government, a bad combination. I know throughout history, right? The original Nazis turning into Nazis again. Yay. Go, like Farazad, but his clickbait YouTube titles, it's over, speechless, is starting to annoy. Who is that? Who's the clickbait person that does that? It's over, speechless person? There's a lot that do that. I don't do that. I don't even care. TDUI buy puts if small green day. Okay. Anyway, Farzad, per Grok 3 deep research, 37% of the U.S. GDP, I think is what he meant to say, is federal, state, and local government spend. He's saying, imagine what happens when it gets a lot more efficient, the massive vortex of waste that's disappearing. I agree. Chris Patel said, one thing I keep seeing highlighted lately is the so-called Buffett indicator. We talked about this a little bit a week or two ago, but I want to talk about it more. Not in regard to the Buffett indicator, but just how people value stocks and how the methods are outdated. That was actually off a video from Andreas Steno Larsen. But Chris said, while I'm sure it has merits, I think it might be flawed. So this is the Buffett indicator. He said, unlike the past, the U.S. stock market is the world's biggest, which companies dominating globally. When you look at companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Apple, they don't just dominate the U.S., but the entire planet. So why is the U.S. GDP the denominator? Wouldn't it make more sense to use the world's GDP versus the total market cap of the world? So Buffett indicator, U.S. stock market value to GDP. So you can see how, again, it looks insane, right? It looks like it just keeps growing. But our companies have become more international and dominated more. And we've taken a lead in software and technology. So again, this looks like we're in the biggest bubble in history. But if you actually don't look at it as just the U.S. anymore, and you realize that all market participants can dominate in the entire world, especially in the future, I believe, that it just becomes more clear that this is outdated. And there's a reason why. I mean, people age and die and become irrelevant. And Warren Buffett Some of the principles that he has are still valid, but some of these indicators are just not. Adam said, after hitting new highs, gold is taking a hit this morning. So, whatever. That doesn't really matter. I said the golden age is upon us. I lost that. Yeah, okay, here. So, James E. Thorne said the current economic climate mirrors past growth scares of World War I and World War II, with fears of stagnation as the U.S. transitions from deficit-driven growth to private sector resilience or reliance. Today, so these same things happened in World War I and II. We were a military economy, and then we had to transition to an economy that's consumption-based, and that's retail and all this private sector stuff, right? He said today, concerns stem from a persistent 7% federal deficits and the Department of Government Efficiency aggressively cutting governmental waste and laying off thousands of federal workers. Historical parallels suggest that successfully navigating this period will lead to a new golden era, similar to the Roaring '20s and the post-World War II boom. I would argue it's going to be better than that because we've never had AI, autonomy, and all this other stuff. It looks like we have the bell. I got to go to it. On top of having the most efficient government in history. Let's get back to our bell here. Everybody likes the bell. 1 second.
What's going on? Do they just want to stay private? I mean, look, Gensler's been defrocked. The government's not being so hard. Certainly worth discussing. David, we have to focus on this because it's the opposite of what we're supposed to have.
Okay, so the bell happened. Everybody's happy about the bell. Markets are coming back down a little bit more. I don't know. I think they could bounce today, but I'm not going either way, guys. I don't know what happens. I don't even know if this is irrelevant. I should just take that off. I've kind of done it. We're under the 100 moving average on Tesla's chart, and this could be seen as a bear flag. All this news is great. The fundamentals behind Tesla is great. I believe the financials will also reflect that. I am only a buyer of Tesla. That said, maybe the markets continue down. We have key volumes above us. Let's just zoom out here so we get the bigger view. I'll actually go to the weekly for a sec. So we've got a pretty big volume wall above us, and we couldn't hold the fib, right? So one could say that we could close this gap down near the 313 range. We don't have to. Maybe we bounce back up. What we want to do is quickly get above 355. We don't have to, but if it happens, that would be good. If it doesn't, we could go lower. I would be mentally prepared for lower, and if we go lower, I again, watch my post, my subscriber post, because we'll be talking about what I'm buying. And again, what are we down right now, guys? Let's just look at that too. What are we down from our recent high just a little over a month ago? Let's go up here. If you've been feeling pain, maybe it's because Tesla's down 30%. That could be it. I don't know. Just saying. Let's look, though. Broader watch list. How are we doing today? Let's sort. Who's got pain? Woof. Trump coin, pain. Optimism, layer 2 for Ethereum, pain. Injective, pain. Arbitrum, pain. All the shit coins, pain. Baba, pain. Baba's finally coming down to earth, 6%. Flux, pain. Solana, pain. Solana, 158. Super painful. Doge, pain. All the shit coins are getting crushed. Palantir down almost 5%. HIM's down another 4% after a 25% drop on Friday. 30%, 1/3 of its value in less than 2 business days. VIX down. Atom, just tons of shit. Mara down. Grab down. Everybody got excited about Grab, then it got crushed on earnings. Again, HIMS. Everybody excited about HIMS, then it got crushed. Now I'm supposed to be excited about a trading platform, I believe it is. I'll look at it, but I'm probably not going to jump into it right away. News doing all right. I don't know if that's from dollar weakness. Let's see. The dollar's actually up 0.05, but it has dropped a lot, so that's probably helping the Brazilian real. The MOVE index is up. Again, the MOVE index is the one to pay attention to. Bond volatility. If you listen to Michael Howell from Cross Border Capital, he's like, this is the one that's scary. This is the one you want to look at. Everybody was talking about how AMD is the thing to buy. AMD is the thing to buy, but it's getting ready to roll over. My buddy Couch, it needs to hold here, because if it breaks down, then again we could go a little bit further. I don't know. AMD deserves a break. What is it down right now? Over 50%. It's down 51%. Is it going to get the break? I don't know. Doesn't have to. But let's look over here. So we got what's doing well today. Nvidia's up 2%. That's probably good. I think their earnings on Wednesday are going to be good. I'm excited about it. ETH is up 2%, but it got butchered. I think that's just because people are realizing like they like the centralization of it right now because they won't have to lose all their money. Google's up a little bit. Bitcoin dominance is up. ASML is up 1%. Not a lot of winners today, guys. ARKG's up 0.67. PayPal's up 0.6. So things that have been, DLO's up again. That's kind of cool. They got hit really hard last week, though. Oil's up a little bit. I still think we're dropping into the 60s this week. I don't know. It's not super great. It's another red day. Sorry, you meant Palantir. Paul, what was his statement? I can't even see where it was. So we'll just not worry about it. Bored Apes are not doing well. Nancy Pelosi stock, Tim is up. That's good. That's probably why ARKG's up. Hey, Jesse, can you check how much CleanSpark can drop further? Yeah, let's do it. And I might, for a second, step away and just play some CNBC so I can have get some more coffee and then also take a pee. So here's what I don't like about CleanSpark is it's kind of dropping underneath. Oh, this could be the bottom. If we look here, so this is the daily chart. So if we just if we ignore the wicks and just look at candle body, we're still breaking down. So I think we could have a washout right now in CleanSpark, or we bounce here. Now that we've broken underneath, we start bouncing higher. But man, you got to be okay with more pain. You just got to be more okay with it. I bought some CleanSpark last week. Again, I bought calls that are just destroyed. I might buy more. I bought 25s though. I'm not buying the 37s. It's just too far out. But I think July 25s are pretty reasonable. So who knows? I might get more of those. I only got 26,000 worth last week. What else do we got? New looking good. Yeah, New's doing good. I think the Brazilian real is what's helping them out a lot right now. My portfolio is getting obliterated with BTC proxies. I'm sure, dude. I'm probably gonna feel more pain again today too, and I felt lots last week. Paul Stewart, I always enjoy how you time bottoms props. Yeah, I'm trying to. I don't know if we're done yet though, man. And it's crazy because CleanSpark is down 63% from where it was in March. That's nuts. Yeah, all of them do. Yeah, Mara, all of them. All of them are kind of like, Mara actually has a better setup, I would argue. But again, they've all been butchered. But if you look here, this is a nice setup right here. This is like a cup and handle. So like, or I shouldn't say a cup and, you could say a cup and handle. Yeah, you could totally. That's probably the more realistic. I was going to say a head and shoulder, but the cup and handle is actually cleaner. But if we just draw this, guys, just from candle body up to, and call this right up here, we'll call this, this is the monthly, but we'll just call this the body of it. When this thing breaks out, what it's telling us here is we can go to 200 on Mara. I don't know how that's possible, but that's what the technical pattern is saying. But again, it might be a little broken. It depends on how far we drop. If we drop too far, like if we get down to here, then it's not really a cup and a handle. Right now, though, it could still be a handle. This could be the cup. This could be the handle. It's drawing on a little bit longer, but it could be sweet. Again, I think we have, what is it? Good morning from Taiwan. No pain, no gain. That is the truth. That is the truth. Let me see. I'm going to see what they're playing on CNBC. I might grab my coffee real quick. Treasury yields edge higher. Up 0.05%. I would argue they're not much higher. I'm wondering if the market drops more today, and I'm wondering if on top of that we end up seeing TLT go higher. If so, I might pull another 50,000 out of TLT and use that to buy more shit. Maybe 100 if I get really giddy and excited. But anyway, let's listen real quick here. I'm going to get my coffee. I'm going to go to the bathroom. Give me 3 minutes. I'll be right back. 1 second. Playing.
100 cases in Texas and New Mexico. Outbreak. Of the 90 in Texas, 5 patients were vaccinated.
Oh, we're talking about COVID again? What the fuck? Retarded, stupid shit. Here we go. 1 sec.
We're going to watch that.
Yes, we do. If that makes a comeback, I think that it would be extraordinary, an extraordinary rebuke of anyone who believes that vaccines don't play a role. And I know that we have Dr. Borla, who's the most important vaccine person in the country. He's not backing away. But we have the stock of Moderna that goes down. That's a great bellwether. That's the barometer of RFK Jr.
Right. We also had that weird headline Friday about the pandemic, no pandemic, new strain. What does it all mean?
Yeah, when that came out, even though it was old. And by the way, Dr. Gottlieb, Dr. Gottlieb's amazing. I mean, he came out and just, look, this is old, and don't panic. But I think people thought it was new and they panicked.
The other thing, Jim, is employment. Last week with UMich, highest expectations for higher unemployment since COVID. Today, Starbucks joins the ranks of corporate layoffs.
Yeah,
1,100.
Look, Brian's doing incredibly well. Here I'm speaking about Brian Nichol, but the fact is that there is a sense that there is fat at Starbucks, and I think that 1,100 support partners. That was something I needed them more of, a support partner.
Yeah, I mean, the message is, well, there you see it, increased efficiency, accountability. Talking about removing layers and duplication, creating smaller, more nimble teams.
There are layers. There's just years after years, no one really kind of got broomed there. I just think that Brian Nichol is doing a remarkable job. He's actually, it's interesting, his actual stores that he's talking about, that he's measuring, he's doing 3 stores. He's not doing what they did at Panera, where they did North Carolina and wanted to look at it. That book's not in play. It's not in play.
Panera did what? I'm sorry.
They did Panera too.
But you're saying he's doing it smaller or bigger? Smaller to see how it works.
Right, because he's got to drive through. He's got to. The main problem that they have is this first in, first out. When you get there and you're just shocked, even though you see no one, there's just people ahead of you and a lot of anger, and that's going away because he's the throughput specialist. I urge you to time your order to when you get it. I've had it 3 times now. It is 4 minutes. One of them had been 20 minutes.
What did I miss?
I also want to emphasize that he's going to attack the franchises.
All right. Fuck Jim Cramer. What did I miss? Is there doom? Is there gloom? Is the world falling apart? Can somebody tell me? What's going on, chat? Just idiots talking fear. Okay, good. Is it COVID again? You guys let me know if COVID's coming. I got a bunch of leftover shit from last time I didn't use. So I've got to make sure I disinfect all the packages again. All right, let's get back over here. So again, 9:30, we get Dallas Fed manufacturing. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that. Let's hop over here. We'll just kind of continue to dial down the line. Let me see where we left off. Feeling pretty good. I'm just going to scan through the economic data. I feel pretty good about what we talked about. Again, I think I'm very optimistic. I think you really just need to, you need to be ready to feel some pain. And if you have TLT, it doesn't even bother you that much. I don't know if TLT's up today. Maybe it is. Let me see here. TLT. Where'd I put it? Did I hide it? Did I have it over here? Oh, I had it over here. It's down 0.18% today. But again, in a sea of red, this is something you can pull from. I probably won't be pulling from it unless it goes up, though. I'm not going to lie. I love that multiplier behind it. So if it's not making money, I'm not touching it. I'm more than happy to sit here. I'm super patient. This is down over 50%. Worst route since the 1700s. I will just hang out and watch things bleed. Can you check if Palantir has hit the bottom? I don't think Palantir is even close to hitting the bottom. I mean, from a technical standpoint, it is not close. It could totally drop more. I already looked at it earlier, but I'll show it again just super quick, and then I'm going to move on and get back to some other new stuff with Bitcoin that I wanted to talk about. So again, massive volume gap here. Short-term bottom, really probably near 85, near the 50 moving average. So if you wanted to buy Palantir, I don't think now is the right time. And I feel bad for all the people, like, there's this guilty thing that us influencers, I hate saying it, calling myself that, do, where we get excited about our thing when it's winning, and then we tell people about it. And so you've probably seen a bunch of people, there's tons of them, there's so many Palantir fanboys that have been talking about their book, and everybody jumped in. And it sucks, right? Because you jump in and then all of a sudden it gets walloped. This is why you don't chase. This is why you develop your own thesis and go from there. But yeah, so if you look over here, this thing is down. It could be down 31% in a very short period of time. It's only down 25 right now. So I think if it drops like another 8%, then we'll close this gap. And then we have a nice little shelf over here. Honestly, I feel like that's the shelf we stop at. But let's zoom out here and look at a broader picture. I feel like that's the one we stop at. Because again, you got the fib right here. So you had this parabolic growth. You got the fib right here. But who knows? Then you could start a pattern where this thing doesn't go anywhere for a while. The valuation on the stock is super fucking high, guys. Like, I've been saying it for a long time, and it's totally outperformed. I was saying it in the 20s and the 30s. Again, I made all my money just from here to here. I made all my money up into the $17, $18 range. I made all my money up to here, and that's where I made my 600% off of Palantir. But it's obviously outperformed that. But this is a parabola, and this is the banana zone up here. I thought this was the banana zone, but it just went more bananas. And it was up over 2,000% in a little over 2 years. So I don't expect much of anything to happen with Palantir. I mean, even look here. We've got bearish divergence. This is on the daily time frame, guys. We've got bearish divergence over here, right here, that goes back. It starts on November of 2024. So we've got bearish divergence that's been going on for almost 4 months. And that's only going to get worse. Again, the RSI for this, what was the weekly RSI? It's just like, it's retarded. It's not even, why isn't it showing? Oh, there it is. The weekly RSI hit what? 87? This is, I'm in no rush to buy Palantir. I just want to be clear. I'm in no rush. There's no rush for it. I love the company. I love Alex Karp's book. I love him as a person. I love Joe Lonsdale. I love everything about it, but there's no rush to buy. There just isn't. If you want to lose a bunch of money, you can rush. I ain't rushing. I'm losing enough money already. All right, let's keep going. Let me read chat here real quick. I'm eating something too. Cranberries, dark chocolate, and cheese with some banana chips. It's a nice little snack. All right, what else we got, guys? I'm actually going to go to Bitcoin real quick, and then we'll talk about Doge too. So let's listen to this. This is Michael Saylor at CPAC. CPAC was amazing. I usually don't watch it because I hate politics, but it was really good.
What I would say on this topic is the U.S. could own 20% of the network like that for free. The dollar would strengthen. The nation would be enriched. And the real promise is if you own 4 to 6 million Bitcoin, you're going to pay off the entire national debt. You're going to neutralize it. We can generate a $50 trillion to $80 trillion benefit to the United States people, to the citizens, to the taxpayers, and we can do it simply by seeing the future. It cost $6 million to buy Alaska. The payoff was $1 trillion. Just like right now, you can literally buy it for a song and dance. That's the opportunity. The risk is that you wouldn't want the Saudis to buy it first, or the Russians, or the Chinese, or the Europeans. And there's only room for one nation state to buy up 20% of the network. And obviously, I think it should be the United States.
I love this. This man just bought 50 days of new supply for the Bitcoin network this weekend. And he does this on a weekly basis. He buys Bitcoin. So he is literally buying all of the new supply of Bitcoin right now at a time where we're seeing whales jumping in big time. Look at this. Breaking. Whales are buying Bitcoin in quantities never seen before. Look at this. This line is fucking up here. Up here. Look at this. Look at this. So don't get me wrong. Is there market manipulation? Yes, there always is. These guys are shorting And then they're taking their gains from their shorts, and then they're buying Bitcoin, and they're doing that in all kinds of ways. They've been abusing the Bitcoin miners. But eventually, the valves will get released, and this stuff will explode higher. I don't know how to convince like an average Joe who's coming in for the first time that this is how it works, but this is how it works. And the OTC supplies are gone. Whales are buying like crazy. This guy that we just listened to bought 50 days supply in one day on just his weekly purchase. And they're just a massive amount of people in states and pension funds and cities and countries and ETFs buying. So yes, the price has been manipulated. There's been a lot of going on. People are jumping into gold too. There's been liquidity issues across the world, but that's all changing. So you could run away now. But damn, man, did you really suffer for a year to run away now? Is that what you did? Because that ain't what I'm doing. I'm buying more. All right. Bitcoin Investor Week starts tomorrow in NYC, today. The largest conference ever assembled of professional investors interested in Bitcoin, 50 plus speakers, 15 events, tickets right here. You have Anthony Pompliano, Vivek Ramaswamy, Kathy Wood, Mike Novogratz, Anthony Scaramucci, Cynthia Loomis, Jan Van Eck from Van Eck and Associates, Jack Mullers from Strike, amongst many others. Yeah, he has... Saylor has more than almost every other government combined in Bitcoin. Michael Saylor. Do you realize that? Jason Lowery was talking about how it's dangerous to not self-custody Bitcoin, and I agree with him to an extent. But what he's saying in here is that it's bad, like governments confiscated gold in the past, and so there's a danger that they could confiscate Bitcoin if it's in all these centralized sources. I agree with that, but that's if Doge doesn't do a good job balancing the budget along with GDP growth, and I'm not worried about all those things. But it is smart, guys. Like have 10% maybe of your wealth sitting in a hardware wallet. Make sure you know what you're doing though. Don't use paper. They've got like these metal ones where you can stamp the address in. Make sure that it's in a fireproof safe. Make sure it's like tethered to the fucking ground. Make sure you don't tell people about your shit. Never talk about your Bitcoin. But it's not a bad idea. Ash Crypto said this 23 hours ago, breaking, Hong Kong Asia Holdings, a publicly traded company, have just gotten approval to buy more Bitcoin for its balance sheet. Asia is a giga bullish on crypto. Carl Minger said, London gold market defaults on physical deliveries. Lots of paper gold out there, guys. Lots of it. One of the world's largest refineries informed its customers that London warehouses were empty and that London gold market was dry of liquidity. So there's something going on. People are saying, they're incorrectly saying that the United States is bringing all the gold back here to fill up Fort Knox. That's not actually true. We're bringing gold. Oh, wait, is that the right way? No, that way. We're bringing gold back to the United States, or I should say places like JP Morgan and others are bringing gold back to the United States because they don't want to endure tariffs and they want to be able to basically hedge the difference. And they can save a lot of money and make a lot of money, depending upon how you're looking at it. So they want the gold to be here. So you're seeing all these different companies and banks around the world pulling gold in the United States. Yes, exactly, because of 100% tariffs. Thank you, BD. But so you're seeing our store of value for gold building up too. Again, there's so many things working right now in the United States. But if you have paper gold like GLD, there's too much paper, guys, and that's dangerous because there isn't enough physical gold for all the paper gold that's out there because there is no public ledger like with Bitcoin that does a good job letting people know that they haven't been getting their paper gold hasn't been inflated artificially like 3-5 times what the actual physical gold is. They just don't know. And maybe even it's just doubled, and that means you got half the value you thought you had. But this is not a good sign for the gold market. It's a good sign for the gold price. If they were running out of physical delivery, then that could drive up, just like it'll drive up Bitcoin, it drives this up. So, but it's not great if you own paper gold. Ben Workman, over time, people will recognize the power of a well-capitalized corporate balance sheet built on the rock-solid foundation of Bitcoin to generate massive shareholder value. For now, we remain in phase 1, accumulation. He's talking about MicroStrategy. I said the European Central Bank is going to lose control. What a beautiful sight it will be when the country starts to chase Bitcoin. This is Lagarde, one of the dumbest, ugliest looking bitches I've ever seen in my life, talking about how central banks aren't going to hold Bitcoin. Even meanwhile, the Czech National Bank is actively looking to explore Bitcoin as a reserve.
Bitcoins. I think there is a view around the table of the governing council, and most likely the general council as well, that reserves have to be liquid.
I like France.
That reserves have to be secure, that they have to be safe, that they should not be plagued by the suspicion of money laundering or other criminal activities. And as a result, I'm confident that reserves...
I am a dumb cunt. Sorry, finished it for her. Again, Wales, this has gotten even crazier. Let me see if there's anything else in here to talk about. Kathy Wood predicts Bitcoin price breakout after Trump tax cuts. So we know April, May, we're going to get the tax cuts. I 100% agree, guys. We're trying to make it until April or May. This is after tax time, and this is with massive tax cuts across overtime, Social Security, and tips, along with corporate taxes, along with other incentives to invest in the United States. And we actually had some of that, too. Apple, my buddy Amit just posted it, talking about how Apple's going to invest $500 billion over 4 years. That seems to be the popular number. And some of that, we'll see how much they actually end up doing, but it's still interesting. Again, Costa Rica's largest bank is launching a Bitcoin ETF. Seems like a big deal. South Dakota bill to allow the state to invest in Bitcoin is now has a hearing scheduled on Monday, today. Publicly traded Altvest Capital adopts Bitcoin's treasury strategy and plans to buy 10 million BTC. It's a South African companies are now coming in. I just don't know what to tell you guys. If you guys want to be worried about shit, you can do that. I'm not worried about it. I'm enjoying the company of my beautiful wife who takes care of me and is an awesome companion. I'm enjoying the fact that spring is almost here and we went from negative 20 to 50 degrees yesterday. I'm not enjoying the fact that I just dumped a bunch of my food over here. But outside of that, I'm enjoying life. And I've got a really good strategy, I think, with TLT. Enjoy your life. Don't focus on the day-to-day price action. Just understand what is coming and what you need to do to get there. All right, real quickly, Doge. To all government workers being forced to comply with weekly updates. All right, so let's listen. This guy's got good advice. So if you're a person who's getting just butchered by Doge, here's some good advice for you guys. Oh, hey, the 10-year's dropping. My TLT's going up. All right, guys, check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Told you, bitches. Down 0.3% TLT, or I'm sorry, the 10-year yield dropping. This is going to benefit us so much, guys. The dippity dip is going to be much yummier when you're making a bunch of money. You're making 10, 11x the underlying. Trust me, believe me, it will be a lot better of an experience. But yeah, let's listen. If you're losing your job from Doge, guys, here's some good advice.
I just heard the breaking news that government workers are going to be forced to write down what they did the previous week. Having worked for X for 2 years now and having to write down what I've done, I can give you some survival tips. Step 1 is actually do things. This is going to help immensely when you get to step 2 and step 3. Do things and know what you're doing. All right.
That is asking a lot for a government employee.
All right, step 2. Ready? This is the hard part. Write down what you did. You could write it down using a pen and paper. You could type it into a computer, but you have to put it down. Simply thinking about it, unless you have Neuralink installed, is not yet sufficient. Write it down. That's step 2. Step 3 is send an email to the requester with this information, saying what you did. Okay? Email it. If you don't know how to email it, that's fine. Follow me. I'm going to drop a tutorial on how to send emails. All right, guys. Good luck out there.
So yeah. Also, Elon Musk showed how you can use Grok to make shit up to create bullet points that you could send to your boss in order to not get fired. I love it. Data Republican. Who's that deaf chick I was talking about? Who's just badass. So, what is this new? No, this isn't. She's amazing. Going to use LLMs at mass API scale for the first time today, hoping to have a preview at the end of the day. So the prompt to Grok, you'll have heard Elon Musk 5 bullet point directive for government employees goes to states, United. She's so great. She's so great. She's amazing. I don't know if I'm trying to look in the one in here. It looks like she's not promoting it herself. I'll try and find it, but she's getting interviewed by this company, and I've got it somewhere. I'll show it to you. Oh, here, right here. Oh, yeah, News Nation. Listen to this. This is great. This is it. This is the one that's coming up, guys. I'll reshare this if you want to see it. Or you can just look up News Nation, Data Republican. She's going to be getting interviewed with these guys. It's awesome.
I just got back from a crazy interview. You've heard of Elon Musk's Doge program for fraud and waste in the federal government. Well, there is a woman, a computer programmer, working behind the scenes in secret, helping Doge find all of the fraud and waste.
Do you think you're going to find a lot of corruption, not only with Democrats, but also with Republicans?
Oh, I already did. I cannot tell you enough how much both are involved. It is everywhere.
What she found will make your blood boil. This is her first ever TV interview. She's very nervous about her privacy and security, but she met up with me in an undisclosed location. You'll see her interview Monday night, 7 o'clock Eastern on News Nation. Vargas reports. To find your channel, go to newsnationnow.com.
So I'm excited about this, guys. I actually think, do you guys think the narrative gets weaker for the left if all of a sudden we start talking about what the right has done? And we start calling out people that have been doing fraud, waste, and corruption on the right. Do you think maybe the narrative gets better? I do. So, yeah. Again, I just focus on the prize, guys. Elon Musk, we're increasingly optimistic that as the immense waste and fraud are eliminated from Social Security and medical, that there is potential to increase actual dollars received by citizens and better health care. So he's telling you that Social Security might pay out more in the future, or they'll end up doing that check and then everybody benefits, right? And that the medical care from Medicaid and Medicare will get better. Can you imagine that? How does the narrative shift if we start calling out Republicans that are committing fraud and shutting down Republican platforms that are fraudulent? And at the same time, we're able to give people checks, reduce their taxes, make it to where they're making more money, make it to where Social Security is better, make it to where Medicaid and Medicare are better. What happens in that world? Wow. The NIH, National Something Health, currently funded over 400 projects for $350 million relating to structural racism. Fuck you. Just take care of patients. Rick Grinnell is brilliant. I said, if he's calling for it, there must be a plan in the works. Rick Grinnell calls for Doge in California. I think we're going to see a Doge at every state. I think Republicans will probably lead, but I think we'll force this upon some of the liberal ones if they want federal funding. We'll figure it out. Martin Offel said, federal workers raking in millions. 160,000 civil servants are now millionaires. The number of millionaire federal service employees has exploded under Biden from under 70,000 in 2021 to 160,000 in 2025. So while Americans have been struggling over the last 4 years, we've seen the rich governmental bureaucracy get richer. And I mean, that kind of makes sense. Some of this could be pure corruption and fraud. Some of it could just simply be, wow, I look really white. Why do I look so white? What's going on? Some of it could just be that they own tons of investments too, because they're the rich elite. And so it's probably, or a combination thereof, but it needs to be fixed. Just in, Elon Musk says that he believes Doge has found that deceased and non-existent individuals have been collecting employment checks as federal workers. So this is another reason why we're trying to make sure that people send emails and we're going to fire them if they don't, because you can put them on a list of suspects to investigate to determine whether or not they should have a job. So even if they don't fire them for not responding, they can fire them because they find out that they haven't actually sent in the emails in a very long time. And now they have a nice list showing all the people that they should start with. Charlie Kirk, if any of the hundreds of employees who work for me refuse to send a very short email with 5 bullet points, copying their manager within 48 hours notice, no less, they would no longer be employed. This is not controversial. I mean, putting it on the weekend is a little sketchy, but I mean, I think they did that for a reason because there's probably no support to get access to their emails. And so if they haven't logged in, forgot their password, and they haven't used the system in 6 months, they're not going to be able to react. And then they're on that list of people to fire, which I think is smart. Let's keep going. My throat. Here, I'm going to refresh real quick because something got wonky. Bitcoin down to 94.4. Bitcoin's seen better days. 1 second, please. The left isn't concerned with facts. That's fine. I think some of them are, though. I think there's a lot of people in the center that we don't pay attention to, and they're the ones that elected Trump. I was one of them, right? 2 years ago, I was anti-Trump. 4 years ago, I voted for Joe Biden. And now I'm getting called MAGA Trump Nazi. So people can change their minds. I think it's ignorant to act as if that's not possible. And I think we should look for people that can change their minds. It's important. Let's listen to this real quick. Did you know that Joe Biden gave unpaid researchers and students full access to IRS data? So again, this is just hypocrisy. We don't need to play it. You can watch it yourself. Just Elon shouldn't have access to it, but really at the same time, we did something even stupider under Biden, right? We gave interns fucking access to all this shit. MicroStrategy is getting absolutely wrecked. Down 6%. That's pretty fucking wrecked. Yeah, we should look at some of that. Yeah, you know what? We can do that now. We can look at your charts. You guys are panicking, obviously. Let's go through it over here. I might buy some today. So, this is actually good. This is good. I like this. I'm going to probably put up one right here. I like this kind of pain. I think this is excellent. So let's just draw some lines here because you guys want to know where to buy your shit, right? That's what you're trying to figure out. And I should turn this red. I think I'm probably going to, I don't know. I think I'm going to buy some, MSTX, but I'm going to wait just a little bit. How much more downside do we have? Let's get all these. I'll move these out of the way for now. Move these, just get them on my way. Yeah, just get them on the way. All right, so let's look here. How much downside do we have for MicroStrategy? And all the miners are probably getting wrecked, which is why I need to buy more today. So let's see. Find support really about 6% down, and then really find support, let's say right about here, down about 9%, and then really find support right here at the 200 moving average. It just isn't going to go lower than that. And you could even draw this line differently. Let's say it's here. Let's say that it gets really bad. Yeah, this would be better. Oh, yeah, this is beautiful. I like the symmetry here. I'm actually going to stick with this. So if I do buy, I'm not going to buy MSTX today. I'm just going to buy MSTR because I can always sell MSTR and then buy MSTX with it and get the multiplier. I've already got some multiplied behind it. But I could see something like this where this thing can just get butchered. So you need to be prepared for 16, 17% downside on MicroStrategy. Doesn't have to happen. It could stop after 5 or 6. But you need to be prepared for another 15, 16 at least, getting to the 200 moving average, and then probably a big wick up to the 260s. And if you're prepared for that mentally, you'll be all right. If you're not, you might sell down at the bottom. But yeah, not great. Not great. Palantir's in free fall. Oh, whoa, fuck. Yeah, it is. 11%. On a bright note, that gap is getting closer. You're getting giggity gapped. Not quite, though. Not quite filling the gap here, guys. We got time. The gap still has a ways to go. Now, we closed a lot of it, but I don't see how this doesn't get filled. So Palantir's down 11%. We've got another at least 7%. And in actuality, let's just call it down here at the fib line, at least a 9% drop. And so Palantir, in a very short period of about a week, will have dropped 35% at that number. That's painful for the people who chased. Painful. Can we look at Tesla? Sure. You guys are all over the place. It's exciting. We can look at a bunch. We'll look at a bunch. We'll do that now. You guys, there's obviously a lot of price movement. This is TLT. So TLT's up just barely. I like it. Where did I put my Tesla? Where did I put my Tesla? You over here? You over here? You over here? You over here? This one? Yeah, this one. Okay. Tesla's down 3. God, you guys are going to make me fucking sell. Oh, this market's going to make me sell my TLT with barely any gains. Son of a bitch. Whatever. Yeah, so we could still drop with this one. I mean, if it gets really bad, and we never really back tested over here, right? So if it gets really bad, we could drop down to like the 200 moving average again. That is 23% lower than today. So again, I don't know. I hope there's people with cash on the sidelines. I hope you guys invested in TLT. I hope you're willing to undergo some pain because it looks like the market's trying to bring it. Now, on a bright note, let's actually go to the daily here. Tesla could fare better than most. And the reason I say that is we actually have some confluence here. If you look, you can see how previous resistance got turned into support, broke underneath of it, climbed back above. But I still think, I don't know, man. I think you got to be like somewhat prepared for maybe another 14. Like just be prepared for pain over these weeks and months, guys. I think you got to. And I don't know. Maybe I should have sold some MSTX this morning just to prepare for it. But I've still got almost $600,000 in TLT. So I think I'll just keep using that and buying the dip on all this stuff. That's my plan. That's my plan. And I'm going to stick to it. Probably. Most likely. I'll tell you guys. Check CleanSpark. CleanSpark. I'm sure that one's getting booked in the ears. I think I pulled that up, didn't I? Let me see. I'm just going to pull all these to the end because I'm getting them all over the place. CleanSpark, again, it broke down underneath of its pennant or whatever. Not good. Looking painful. Looking real painful. But again, this is what it is, guys. It is what it is. And where's it going to drop? I mean, I don't know, man. There's so much. Like we're in the drop zone right now. So where it ends up, like there's nothing but volume or nothing but empty space beneath us. But you have to factor in, guys, that this thing dropped 65% from where it is in March. So you're just going to reach a point where the technicals don't even make sense anymore for something like this because there's just no reason why it should be this low. So where is it going to drop? Fuck, I don't know. But it doesn't have that much further to go, and the options are wiped out. So I'll probably continue to position in to some lower target options contracts. Thoughts on Tesla stock implications with Elon actively fighting the matrix? I mean, that obviously has negative impact, but the fundamentals are really good. I mean, they're great. If we're getting FSD in China, that's wonderful. There are arguments to be made, though. Just all depends on what happens. I mean, if the dollar's weakening, there's going to be a currency exchange rate that benefits Tesla a lot. And then at the same time, if you have FSD getting deployed in China, you have it happening in Mexico, you have cars getting shipped in India, you have 2 new models coming out, potentially at least one. You have refresh excitement about the Model S and the X. You have the new Y going into mass production. You have the semis going into mass production. You have full self-driving autonomy becoming better than a human at the middle part of this year. You have the robot going out into factories in the thousands this year. You have commercial release starting next year. You have, I don't know. I mean, energy in China just got opened up for their Megapack factory. I don't know what to say anymore. It's so fucking positive. But I'm just going to buy more. I'm going to buy more. The way today is looking, guys, I might bail in a minute, and I'm probably going to put I might put another $100,000 into Tesla and Bitcoin proxies today. So I didn't want to do it this quick, but it's like, what the fuck ever. It just keeps happening. Microsoft. Yeah, we can look at Microsoft. Let's do it quick, though, guys. If you got things you need me to desperately look at because you're trying to find entries and exits, then let me know, okay? So we broke down. I mean, this is a shitty setup. It's a rising, broadening wedge, and we're just starting to break out of it. It's an easy drop for Microsoft, I think, down to the 370, 80 range, or at least to the 100 moving average where the .618 is. That's easy. So it's an easy back test between like 386 to the 370s. Really, though, the measured move, kind of what normally happens when you have something like this, is lower. And so, I mean, I think this is what's happening to Microsoft. I think we can get into the 340s. I don't think there's a huge rush to just buy everything right now. So maybe I'll do 75 today. Maybe I'll do 75. I'll put 75 into my favorite things. But I don't think there's a huge rush to get into stuff, guys. Google, Shmi, Amazon. Go, you guys are all over. All right, give me a sec. Ooh, Jesse, one of the Tesla worries for me is robotaxi killing someone early on. You worried? No, I'm not worried about that. I mean, that could happen, but it probably will happen at some point. But no, what matters is the actual math. And then you have NHTSA controlled by people that aren't a bunch of liberals that hate Elon Musk. I am not worried about that at all. Quick look at Amazon, easy drop to 200, and then 190, 200, 190. Oh, and I don't want to erase that. That's actually, I got to remember to open up from over here because I don't want to overwrite Microsoft. What else did you guys have? Goog. Somebody want to listen to the Goog? Guggenheim. All right. So Goog, this was the last measured move we had. We're probably looking at a retracement though, so I probably should update this. I don't have volume on here for some reason. Where is the visible range volume profile? Oh, let's turn it on. All right. So Goog, I don't know. We got a little bit of a volume shelf, probably back down to the 167. If we see the markets really bleed, I could see 167, or I could see over here towards the 100 at 150, 155-ish. 167, 155. That's Goog. Ample? Are you talking about a crypto? AMPL? Is that a crypto? That's that weird leveraged one. Is that right? Or is this a stock? Make sure you clarify, please. SMCI. SMCI has earnings. I don't even know, man. Look at that. Everybody chased SMCI. So wicked bounce on SMCI. Again, if you chase, you're going to get fucking destroyed. I don't know how many more ways I can say it. But this thing from February 4th went up 160%. And if you ran into that, it went from 66 now down to 53. It dropped all the way down to 50. And if earnings aren't good, it could go even lower. But there's a nice volume base here. So earnings would have to suck because you got really wicked volume supporting you at 48. And then again, down at 42. Those are the bounce zones there. But I don't know. Amplitude. No, Amplitude is a stock. Oh, okay. I don't know what that is, but I could probably take a look. Did you talk RG yet? No, I didn't. I'll jump to that one real quick, and then we can look at one of these others. Oh, Hood. I'll do Hood real quick since somebody asked for that one, too. I can check Nike. I just don't love Nike right now, man. I feel like there's so much Chinese competition, and it's just hard to say that there's a moat. This is a horrible top. This is a tweezer top now on Hood. But again, the fundamentals were so good, but it did run fast, and it could bounce fast. It showed you that before. But this thing has dropped 27% from its high just a couple of weeks ago. Not even 10 days ago. Ouch. It can go lower. It can go down to this next fib here at around 44. But this is pretty steep. I would imagine you start to find some support. 44 to 42. I would have to imagine. That would be a drop. That would be a drop of 33%, which is also painful. Everybody's feeling pain right now, guys. I think you need to realize that. Nike, yeah, we can look at it. But this is why we have hedges. This is why we got the fuck out of PayPal, right? We have earnings today. Which earnings? I mean, there's earnings every day right now, but Nike, wow. Fascinating. So this already had a steep drop. I mean, 61% is a lot. I don't know the fundamentals for this, but this is a beautiful technical setup. Beautiful technical setup. I'll just real quickly look over here. Oh, no, I'm not going to because I don't want to log in. But yeah, that's a beautiful setup on Nike. Jesse, do you think Pain Pal can still be a good play? No, I think it's shit. It's a shitty options play, and I only care about asymmetric. So no. ArcG. That's beautiful on Nike, though. That's a beautiful technical setup. I don't know what the fundamental setup is, though, and I don't love the market. But again, it's already dropped 61, 62%. That's pretty recessionary for Nike. Pretty recessionary. ArcG. So let's see. Is it holding on today, or is it bleeding out its ass, too? Down 1.89%. So we've dropped. So this downward trend we need to turn into support. I would hope that that comes soon. Otherwise, we could muddle in here for a while. But the good thing we have going for us is we've got peak volume here. We're underneath of it right now, but we do want to bounce. This thing went down to about 26 cents. So this seems like a zone where we could get a strong bounce out of ArcG. And again, if Wednesday, people might start adjusting their expectations. We still have data coming out, guys, in 10 minutes. With the Chicago Fed national activity, or I'm sorry, the Dallas Fed manufacturing, depending on how that goes, that could also change the market significantly. Fear and greed, yeah, what is it at? Let's see here. Woo, almost extreme fear. That's awesome. You know, on that note, real quick, guys, I'm going to let CNBC play, and I'm going to make some trades. So just give me a sec.
They're expected post-earnings, guys.
We'll see. I think implied volatility is about 8%. That's going to be an interesting evening when we get it. Christina, thank you. Christina Partsinevelos. Our next guest says he does expect solid results from NVIDIA, but is more focused on the company's outlook in the months ahead. Let's bring in Niles Investment Management founder and portfolio manager, Dan Niles. Dan, great to have you again. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Carl.
So you will be focused on the April quarter forecast, eh?
I mean, I will be, but it's more interesting to see what they have to say. My view hasn't changed at all, which is by the time you get to the middle of the year, you're going to get an AI digestion phase. The data that's come out at the end of last week, including Microsoft's CEO on a podcast, talking about he's looking forward to being a leaser of capacity by 27, 28, because he sees plenty of supply coming on, which means computing costs are going to drop. That tells me what I need to know. You got to remember the semiconductor companies are always behind the customers. The customers, they get a better look at what demand is, and then they will go ahead and change what the orders are after they get more comfort in the fact that that in fact is occurring. So I'm sure NVIDIA is going to be bullish on the call. Quite honestly, to me, I don't really care that much because I look at what the biggest spender of AI CapEx is saying, which is Microsoft. And one of the things that's driving the market down today is IR from Microsoft is in Australia, and they're sort of clarifying some of the notes that came out on Friday. And they're saying, we think supply and demand are going to be in balance by the end of our fiscal year, which, by the way, is June. So it's not that far away. And we think our CapEx growth is going to slow to more in line with our revenue growth. Well, CapEx growth is running 50 to 60%. The revenue growth is running mid-teens. So you look at that and you go, okay, well, that pretty much confirms the fact that CapEx is going to slow down. And so for the NVIDIA print, it's more interesting to just see what they have to say. Jensen looks out 10 years in advance.
I don't know. Meta, Google, Amazon, Oracle, they've all been ramping up spending in a big way.
Well, they haven't. Because if you go, and I've written about this multiple times, look at Oracle. If you look at Oracle, Oracle came out and said for their next fiscal year, they're going to go ahead and double CapEx. So you look at that and you get incredibly excited when you don't do any of the math. When you do the math, you go, okay, well, their fiscal year ends in May. This implies $13.7 billion in CapEx. You already had 6 months go by. So that leaves $7.5 billion left to spend. In the most recent quarter, they spent $4 billion. So $4 billion doubled is $8 billion. That's not 7.5, right? So their sequential growth is actually going to go down in AI CapEx. But you look at the headlines and you go, oh, CapEx is doubling. That's fantastic. That's the problem with a lot of the analysis you're seeing is people aren't actually going through and doing the math, what it means sequentially. much like with Microsoft today, there's a reason why after IR is clarifying this, the stock is going down.
So then,
yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, Dan, why would you go long into NVIDIA, into Dell, into Broadcom, all these supplier names we're going to get in the next couple of weeks?
I didn't say I would be long into it. I mean, that's my point. There's a lot of, much like the prior comment of, oh my God, CapEx is really strong. When you actually go and do the work, it really isn't. And the way you need to think about this is, you know, we all lived through, or most of us lived through the 2000 ramp up. And quite honestly, my view had been that, okay, we're going to go through an AI CapEx digestion phase in the middle of 2025, and then we're going to see a doubling in revenues from NVIDIA through the end of the decade because we still...
Real quick, I've made about $75,000 in trades. I'm going to do a little bit more, though. I think I'm just going to up it to $100,000 a day. 1 second. I'll tell you what it is in a second.
Still have a lot more CapEx going into inference coming up. The problem is there's not a lot of killer apps out there right now that are driving smartphone demand or AI PCs for that matter. And until you get to that, you have this mismatch between spending and what demand is doing. And think about Microsoft, right? They have a 49% economic interest in OpenAI, which started all this with ChatGPT 2 years ago. They guided below consensus when they reported the June quarter. They guided revenues below consensus when they reported the September quarter, and they guided revenues below consensus for the December quarter. That's 9 months now that's been going on. So that should tell you something about where demand and supply is when the guy who's hosting OpenAI is guiding below the street.
Well, yeah, but Dan, I mean, now Stargate's moving ahead without them. They're going to spend $500 billion. You know, we'll see whether it really happens. I talked to Safra Katz last week from Oracle. She seems confident the number is a real number. You point out inference and the fact that, I mean, can't we imagine a world in which enterprise really starts to adopt these agentic agents and they're running a lot of inference and there's just an enormous increase in demand over time, not to mention robotics. I'm just trying to think of things here that Jensen Huang may be talking about or will be talking about that are going to continue to fuel the demand for his company's products.
You're 100% right, David, but you got to remember, in the short term, I mean, think about Cisco, right? If you think about Cisco and the buildup of internet infrastructure, that went on for 6 years. Cisco's revenues went up 15.5 times over 6 years with never a down sequential quarter. It did not mean that the stock didn't have a couple of 30% plus corrections as you went through these digestion phases. That's what I'm looking at right now. The thing that's sort of troubling me is if the biggest AI CapEx spender, they're looking out across everything, and they've been complaining about the biggest issue has been they haven't been able to get chips or power. If now they've kind of switched that, you have to sit there and go, okay, well, do you think they have a better view than all of us do? And if they're thinking that that's going to cause their spending to go from 50 to 60% growth to in line with revenues by the June quarter, right? That's the end of their fiscal year, which is mid-teens, then what happens to demand? It's not like internet demand slowed down in 2001 and 2002. It didn't stop the NASDAQ from going down 78% over 2.5 years as valuations came into more in line. And looking at Warren Buffett, talked about at his annual shareholder meeting, selling stocks, et cetera, more cash being raised. You have to think about it, especially when you look at valuation. So I've been saying this for months now, and the more data that's coming out, the more that looks likely. NVIDIA is going to be bullish, don't get me wrong, but you have to look at it from end demand and work your way back, not from what the chip guys are saying who've been undersupplying for 2 years. And the customers will change on a dime just like they did in 01, 02, and I think that's coming by mid-year.
Okay. We'll see about what we get Wednesday night.
Sorry, guys. I sold 110,000 of TLT, and I bought the following. So I've got CleanSpark, Tesla calls, MicroStrategy, and I think more Clean Spark? Yeah, something like that. So I bought, and these are different. These aren't the 37 calls. I did the 37 calls. I haven't sold any. I've still got those. Massive losses on them. But I'm doing the 25s for July still because the prices are just stupid, ridiculously low. So I got about 45,000 worth of Tesla calls, and then I got Clean Spark calls, a total of 670 at about 38 cents a contract. And then I got MicroStrategy too, 94 shares of that. I didn't buy MSTX yet, but yes, this is what I did today. And would you consider parking some cash and Strike earning it? No, not remotely. Again, I think that it's going to be a really good year. I'm very much in that court. That is not something that I'm changing anytime soon. I'm very happy with what's going on right now. I just think that this is an opportunity to buy the dip, but you have to do it with a long-term vision, and you can only do it if you have money. And that's why we had TLT, was to be able to do this. So these are some of these option prices are fucking insane. I've never seen any like these are the kind of things. I think we're reaching some of the opportunities, or will be in the coming month. Maybe weeks, where you'll be able to get things like when Tesla was at 150 not too long ago, or like because again, we're near extreme fear right now, guys. And I've got more I could spend if I need to. I can go in there and I can do more. But we're in extreme fear territory, and that is a place where I thrive and I absolutely love. Because I can get that's where I got Tesla when it was near $100. That's where I got Meta when it was in the 80s to 90s. That's where I got Palantir when it was in the 7s. This is my time. This is what I love. And I know it's painful for people, and I know it's stressful for probably some of you right now. I get it. I wish I could give you the confidence that I have. I can't. It comes from hard work and time. I can just relay all the things that are important that I think you should understand, and then the rest is up to you. And you guys have to make your own decisions. It's just how it works. But let's take a look here. So 9:30, let's check this other bit of economic data and see if it gives us any kind of a bounce. So Dallas Fed manufacturing down 8.3, previously forecast at 18, had some really good months, starting to retrace. You know what this is telling me? This is telling me the market is going to be like, whoa, maybe we're not as strong as we thought. Maybe we need to lower rates in the future. So I think we're going to see the CME start to catch up here, guys, for May and maybe even March, and start to look like there's a greater chance of rolling over and start. Yeah, there already is. We went from 2.5% in March to 4.5%, and I don't even think that digested the data yet that just came in a second ago. That's going to take time. So this was just off the Fed national activity that we saw earlier. So now this thing could go up even more. So now we're talking about potentially in March having a Fed rate cut. I don't think that one will happen, but I think we're almost assured that in May we're going to get one. I could see May shooting up to 40%, 40% here soon. I could see that. So that's really good. It's great news. What are your thoughts on NVIDIA? I actually think NVIDIA is going to do all right. Again, we know that at least 100,000 more GPUs have been set up by Tesla. I don't think there's any lack of demand. There's nobody else really building what they have yet. The only way I see NVIDIA getting butchered is if by some miracle all of a sudden AMD is starting to take over the market, and they're really doing different things now. So I actually think NVIDIA could do really good on Wednesday, but boy, if it doesn't, save some cash. Save some cash on the sidelines, guys, because if NVIDIA don't do good, woof, it's going to get brutal. Super brutal. That would be the washout, honestly. That's where the washout would come. That's what I'd be looking for. Let's real quickly, though, let's look at what we're going to get for more economic data throughout the week, and then I'm probably going to call it after this. But yeah, so I did my buy-in today, guys. You do you. I did me, and I'm happy with me. So let's see here real quick. So yeah, so that's it for today, really. We got bill auctions, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of surprises there. Hong Kong, we got exports and imports. That's less rigged than what happens in China, which is good, I guess. Tomorrow, we got manufacturing for Canada. We got Red Book. Nobody cares. House stuff. Nobody cares. Current account deficit for Mexico. That's kind of interesting. Consumer confidence for the U.S., Richmond Fed. That'll be interesting. So tomorrow we do have some pretty good data coming in around 9 o'clock. Economic activity for Argentina comes out at 1. That'll be fun. And then Wednesday is probably the big day because we have NVIDIA earnings. I don't think there's a lot in the economic. Mortgage data, nobody cares. Fed barking, blah. Yeah, there's nothing Wednesday. So it's going to be Wednesday, NVIDIA, Thursday, job-related CPI data, or I'm sorry, PCE, core PCE, jobs data, all that stuff, GDP price index, all that. And then Friday, we'll get PCE price index, core price. Yeah, so we'll get a lot of data Thursday and Friday. People are really going to care about the price index, I think. And personal income and spending will be big. So not too crazy, honestly. Jesse, do you still hold? Yes, I do. I've got all of it. I mean, they're painful, and I just bought a bunch more. Here, let me just show you. Lots of red on the screen. Not as green as it used to be. So here's what I'm buying. I'm not buying these. These are brutalized right now. I might buy more of the. Nah, I probably won't buy these. They're just going to be so far out. I do think they could end up making money, but I'll probably just throw a piddling towards them, like maybe 10 to 15% of what I end up putting towards CleanSpark, I might put towards these 37s if they just get really crazy low. But what I'm buying right now are the 25s. I think that's a really easily attainable goal between now and July to be above that. And so I think these are really cheap. They're down 13% today. I got them even cheaper than that. I got them in the 38 cents, I think. So they were down 15% on the day. So I like that one. And then I bought Tesla down about like 6% on the day. So I got that one too. And then I bought MicroStrategy down about 6.5 on the day. Didn't get MSTX yet. Maybe I will. I don't know. I'm trying not to apply too much leverage just yet, just in case we have more pain. And then, so I think that's it. Oh, and I bought ARKG. I got it lower than this, so it was down about, so for the calls that I got, they were down about 14% on the day after getting brutalized last week. And then for Tesla calls, that was down about 6%. So I feel like I got some good DCA today. DCA is the way to go. And again, you don't want to apply too much leverage all at once, but I do like this, guys. I like the fact that we're near extreme fear. If we get near extreme fear by Wednesday, I'll probably increase my buying. But I've got almost $500,000 still to buy. So I'm pretty happy. EU stocks related to Ukraine war are pumping. That's interesting. I mean, I suppose if the war comes to an end, there's definitely, I do think you'll see strength. If the war comes to an end and Europe is focused on deregulation, their market has done jack shit. So I could see their market doing better, especially if we get over the whole Russia, the bad guys. You got to remember, guys, the Russian people, you can't hate them, okay? They have Russian media lie to them all the time. They don't know what the truth is. Okay, they don't know what the truth is, and the younger people do, and they're like, I can see what's happening. My parents don't know how to use a VPN. I do. This is fucked up. But Russia, even like, it's just they don't get as much good information, and a lot of these people they don't want war. They're just going along with whatever they're told to do. They don't want war. They don't want to die on the front lines. Ukrainians don't want to die on the front lines, and Russians don't want to die on the front lines. They all want peace. And when they get peace, they're going to make a lot of money in those regions. The Russian market will come back big time. Ukrainian market will come back. Europe will come back. And I think people are trying to front run it. Kind of makes sense. MB says, looks like rotation to me. Yeah, I agree. Nam Dotton, Roman Z. Yes, he is holding. Check out Discords for updates. Yeah. You can look at my Discord anytime, guys. You can see what the trades that I've been making. And also too, I mean, really, literally on X for free, I show my portfolio allocation. It doesn't have the actual, I got to figure that out. I got to get it to where I can like visually represent calls versus stock. I should almost have a third chart that does that so that you guys can see like my stock position versus my call positions. I think that's important to know. So I'll try and figure something like that out here. Europe continuing the war, supporting the war effort in Ukraine is delusional. It shouldn't happen. It's Europe can't afford it, dude, in any way. But military complex production will go up. EU will try to source locally. What they can't. The EU gets everything from us. They get everything from us. What are they going to do? Buy Russian planes? Fuck. Stupid. Yeah. MB, Finnair may be the craziest asymmetric bet right now. If the airspace opens up. How bad are they? You kind of have me interested here. I'm curious. You kind of have me interested. Let me do Fin Air, because I don't know exactly what the symbol is. Oh, no, I can't do it this way. Let me do a make a copy. Make a copy. And then I'm done. Then I'm out, guys. Fin Air. I wonder if there are other good asymmetric bets. You Europeans got to let me know. All right, let me see. Fin Air. Fin Air? Is that right? Is this it? What's the best way? What's the ticker? Do you know Finnair's ticker? Is this it? Finnair OYG NPV? Is it German? Is it FAI? I'm just going to assume it is. Holy shit. Wow. I mean, even if you just threw a piddly at this, it doesn't have to be anything. It's got all the volume underneath of it. It's found a shelf. It's got a gap up to 27 cents from 3. That is a 10x without using leverage. Wow. I'd have to know more about this. They can't fly over Russia. Yeah, the Earth being round is inconvenient. Huh. Are there better airlines? Is this one like solvent? You guys, God, you got me interested in this. Please do PayPal for those who... Oh, yeah, I can do PayPal. I fucking hate PayPal, but I can do it. This is interesting now. Huh. I like it. Thesis, Earth is round. I like it. PayPal. I mean, technically finding some support here. It has not done well. I would hate to be an option still for them, which is why I got out. But the double top over here has kind of played out, right? Like the measured move for the double top is pretty much the W, right? So one could say that this thing has already been crushed, right? It did it. So, but I also hate this company because they lowered their growth rate. So I don't know what to say. I don't love the fundamentals because I think the narrative about X payments being a lot better and eating its lunch is going to grow. And PayPal just hasn't done any of the stuff I was looking for. But I do think the measured move is done. So there should be some technical stability here. Now, that doesn't mean it can't wick lower. It's down 76% from its high 4 years ago or some shit. I don't even know anymore. Almost 4 years. It's over 3. But it could still drop technically down to 69 or even test all the way down to 63. And that would be painful as fuck if it did happen. But it could. But the W or the double top has pretty much played out, but it could still go lower. So I don't know, man. I don't know what this one. It's just a shitty stock. Yeah, X Payment's going to eat its lunch. They're so much better. I mean, the man created PayPal. You don't think he's going to beat it? Crossroads, Roy, I don't know what the fuck he's thinking. I think Future Invest was smart. Tanner for getting the fuck out when I did. But I don't know what Crossroads is thinking. I don't know why you would still be super excited about PayPal and then discounting and acting like X Payments doesn't really matter when that man created PayPal. Okta's amazing. Cool. That's one I used to have. I made some money off of that one, actually. I almost forgot about it. Steak and eggs. There is a PayPal Investor Day that might be worth waiting for. It's this week. All right, good luck, man. I hope it works out. Dario, if Ukraine supplies minerals to the USA, will the U.S. produce them or just handle extraction? Should we look at U.S. companies with those contracts? They might. I don't know what the details are, and I haven't delved into it. If somebody delves into it and posts that stuff in the Discord, and then you guys let me know, that'll be great. I don't think I'll have time to go into it. Picked up some 25 clean spark calls. Nice, Kitty. Hope it works out, my friend. I do like those better. Not feeling very confident about my 37s. I mean, I still think they can happen. I still think the 37s can happen. But boy, have they been brutal. I mean, today they're down 28%. I should almost put some money in there just to try and pick some up in case they drop further. I don't know. We'll give it another day. I don't need to spend too much on that one. But they could turn around, and if they do, it's going to be violent because they've lost so much money. I've lost $500,000 on CleanSpark. So not my funnest trade. All right, guys, I think I'm done. If I do more trades, I'll let you know. Love the shirt, Jesse. When are you going to make BTC merch? I should. This is a Bitcoin day that we had locally in our town that I went to, where I got to meet some really cool people, some really cool Bitcoiners, including the former chief technology officer of Gateway Computers, who is a Bitcoin miner now and just one of the greatest people I've ever met. Just such a nice guy. Just mentioning Investor Day for those that are still in it. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, Steak and Eggs. All right, guys, the 10-year bond is now down 7.7% for yield. So my ability and purchasing power is going up, but I don't think I'm going to buy any more today. I'm just going to chill. I'm going to enjoy my day. I got to work out with the wife. So I love you guys. I hope, again, you have a good day. Let me see if we can find a song to go out with. I think we need to remember this. I think you need to remember the policies of the current administration and how awesome they're going to be, okay? So focus around that. Focus on the fact that we're going to make a bunch of money. Yeah, Gateway 2000, exactly. Focus on the fact that we're going to make a bunch of money and things are going to look much different in a couple of months. That's what I'm doing. Otherwise, peace out. Love you guys. Bye.
Irreplaceable, we irreplaceable. Together, nobody can stop us. Had to move the mountains. Now we on the top. Ready to fight, ready to win, and ready to make America great again. At the speed of light, this is what living and dream is like. We living it so we can sleep at night. When our dreams collide, that's when we arise. Yeah. The future is gonna be amazing. We got so much to believe in. Feels like I'm rising to the ceiling. If we dream it. The time is now. How do you like my garbage truck? And the future is a mystery. We know right now is a weapon. That's why we shooting to make history. We fire